Chapter 2521 Bone Change Again. Ha ha ha, the Lord of the Void also indirectly helped me this time. If he hadn't led away the bone transformation realm of the Konghai branch, I really couldn't have succeeded. Yi Tian said excitedly. This time, he gained a lot. I have to say that Yahi Palace is really rich, even if it is a branch, there are many resources. He quickly hid himself. With his current strength, only the bone transformation realm could hope to track him down, but those bone transformation realm were still too slow. After all, he never thought that someone would rob the Konghai branch. Yahi boundary seemed somewhere. Yi Tian hid, and then began to organize the harvest this time. Endless ancient gold, 862 pieces, and 18 drops of endless golden marrow. There are also many other resources, and there are many resources that help the cultivation of bone transformation. After Yi Tian sorted it out, he put it away. Because the Konghai branch was looted, Yi Tian's ancient Lu Tianzu cloned body was transferred back, because there was no need to guard. After that, Gu Lu Tianzu devoted all his efforts to cultivation, and comprehend the ancient inscriptions, coupled with the resources of Yahi Palace, his cultivation base increased rapidly and his strength continued to increase. However, before this cloned body had broken through to the 9 blood transitions, Yi Tian's real cloned body was rejected out of the Yahi boundary. I've been rejected. Fortunately, Gu Lu Tianzu is still in Yahi Palace, and he can continue to come into contact with more ancient inscriptions. Yi Tian murmured. At this time, the Lord of the Void was also excluded. Infinite Heavenly Ancestor, you have come out alive too. The Lord of the Void is a little embarrassed at the moment, his mental state is very bad, and he seems to have experienced a very tragic battle. After all, he has been chased and killed during this period of time, and there are many of them who are even stronger than him, so it is good that he can survive, and naturally he is not in a good state. Wow, the Lord of the Void has left, and he doesn't know whether to heal or cultivate. Yi Tian also left and returned to the Dark Sea. Yi Tian, the Master of Darkness, came and asked, Endless Heavenly Ancestor, you came back to me from Yaheji sowing, did you find something good and let me help you extract it? It really is. Yi Tian took out those endless ancient gold. Endless ancient gold. The Lord of Darkness was shocked. Endless Heavenly Ancestor, you really surprised me. Yahi Palace almost controls the boundary of Yahi, and controls the endless ancient gold very strictly. At most it would be good to collect a piece or two of endless ancient gold, but you actually got so much endless ancient gold. Did you loot a branch somewhere in the Yahi Palace? Yes, I did loot a branch of the Yahi Palace. Yi Tian admitted. It was also lucky that the Lord of the Void invaded other branches, attracting a bone transformation of the Yahi Palace. I also attracted the bone transformation realm from that branch, and I took the opportunity to snatch the treasure trove of that branch. You were lucky. The Lord of Darkness didn't know what to say. However, he also knew that things were definitely not as simple as Yi Tian said. First of all, how does Yi Tian know the location of the treasure house, and why is it Yi Tian's ability to pinpoint the timing? If it were the other 9 immemorial geniuses of the blood transformation realm, how could they dare to invade a branch of the Yahi Palace unless it was courting death? Okay, these endless ancient gold, I will extract endless golden marrow for you, and I will not charge you endless golden marrow, just give me some resources suitable for bone transformation. The Lord of Darkness. Thank you, Lord of Darkness. Yi Tian took out some resources suitable for bone transformation and handed it over to the Lord of Darkness. Afterwards, the Lord of Darkness went to refine the endless golden marrow. In the following years, Yi Tian's cloned body used the ancient inscriptions of the Yahi Palace to continuously master more ancient inscriptions, thus creating the second supreme ancient bone art in the future. Of course, it is extremely difficult to create success. Long years have passed. This day, the Lord of Darkness informed Yi Tian that he had already extracted those endless golden marrow. Soon, Yi Tian came to take these endless golden marrow. I don't know if these endless golden marrow can make a limitless bone of mine complete bone transformation. Yi Tian is ready to give it a try. I saw him refining these endless golden marrow drop by drop, blending the energy of endless golden marrow into a limitless bone, and continuously tempering the limitless bone. Time passed slowly, and this boundless bone was continuously tempered and strengthened, and it seemed to be getting closer and closer to bone transformation. In the end, these endless golden marrow were completely digested, but the bone transformation was still not completed. Sure enough, if the last few immeasurable bones of an ancient genius want bone transformation, they need too much golden marrow. Yi Tian murmured. Immediately, he was going to create another top immemorial bone technique that was very close to the advanced level, and integrated it into this boundless bone to see if it could change its bones, but it needed luck. If not, he could only waiting to create the most advanced ancient bone art. Another time has passed. Yi Tian finally succeeded in creating a top-notch primordial bone technique, which was close to the most advanced primordial bone technique, but the gap was definitely huge. Try it. After all, this limitless bone has been tempered to such an extent by the endless golden marrow, maybe it can really complete the bone transformation. At any time, he began to integrate the most top ancient bone technique into this immeasurable bone. Boom! The bone transformation has begun. Good luck! Yi Tian was very excited. After a period of time, the bone transformation was completed, his body strength increased again, and his strength increased by a bit. There are only 3 immeasurable bones left now, the bones have changed. Yi Tian secretly said. At the boundary of the Yahi River, a crack entrance appeared. The first time, Yahi Palace blocked the entrance of this crack. They all knew very well that this should be the entrance to the seam of the territorial sea. Yahi Palace. A group of bone transformations are negotiating. The deputy of Yahi Palace, okay, the master of the palace, the master of Wang's, the ancient genius who has undergone 3 bone transformations. The Lord of True Eyes, the deputy palace master of Yahi Palace, a world-breaking genius who has undergone 4 bone transformations. As well as the Great Elder, the common peak of 5 bone transitions exists. These 3 presided over the meeting. As for the palace master of Yahi Palace, they have been impacting higher levels, so there will be no west for the time being. The Lord of Huangzi suggested. The passage from the boundary of the river to the boundary of the territorial sea has appeared. I suggest to enter the boundary of the territorial sea. This time, the master of the hole in the boundary of the territorial sea has gone too far, and has robbed us a lot of resources. Also killed an elder of the bone transformation realm. If we don't take revenge, wouldn't we admit it? The boundary seam of the territorial sea is being upgraded. Even we can exert most of our strength and will not be suppressed by a realm like in the ancient times. Therefore, if we all pass, it is enough to cause damage to the boundary seam of the territorial sea and kill a few more bones. It is also a good choice to snatch their resources, said the Lord of True Eyes. Chapter 2522 Unlucky Yahi Palace. Revenge is necessary. The other bone transformation realms were also full of anger. After all, the territorial sea boundary seam dared to come to the Yahi boundary seam to make trouble and cause them losses. The key is that they haven't killed the 2 heavenly ancestors in the territorial sea and seam, and they haven't even found the immemorial genius of the 9 blood transformation realm. This is a great shame. Nowadays, many blood change realms in the entire Yahi Jia seam are secretly discussing the Yahi Palace, thinking that the strength of the Yahi Palace is not good, and that's what it is, thus bringing them a loss of reputation. Therefore, this place must be found. Subsequently, they are united front and must retaliate. How many bone transformations did you send? The Lord of True Eyes asked. Lord Huangzi suggested. I, the Lord of True Eyes, and the Great Elder will all go over, and then select 13 bone transformations. The number does not need to be too many. After all, we can't destroy the territorial sea and boundary seam, and the goal is just to strike its just revenge on the seam of the territorial sea. 1. Agree. The other bone transformations nodded one by one. It seems that the Yahi Palace is going to deal with the seam of the territorial sea. Yi Tian thought to himself. He knew that he had to do something, otherwise if he really let the bone transformation realm of Yahi Palace enter the boundary of the territorial sea, maybe it would spread to the human race. Therefore, he must stop. Swish. This ancient Lu Tianzu of Yi Tian quickly came to the entrance of the passage to the boundary of the territorial sea. He knew that the entrance was within these 343 miles, so he chose to leave and did not approach. Yahi boundary seam somewhere. Yi Tian copied another cloned body, and he was also an immemorial genius of the 9 times blood transformation realm that Yahi Gong had opposed to him, Feng Kui Tianzu. Soon, the cloned body of Feng Tu Tianzu was reproduced. Then, he approached the entrance of the passage with Feng Tu Tianzu's body technique. Lord Feng Tu, the above said that entry is not allowed. Seeing that Yi Tian was about to enter the passage, the group of blood changes stopped them. Yi Tian said coldly, I went over to check the situation, and then come back. If there is any problem, I will be responsible. Then, he didn't listen to the advice and went straight through, and it was too late to stop the other blood changes. Somewhere in the territorial sea, Yi Tian came here through the entrance as the ancestor of Feng Tu. So the entrance is here. He remembered the location, then returned to the boundary of the Yahi River, and left here directly. After that, he annihilated this replica body. The ancestors of the territorial sea boundary could not perceive the entrance of the Yahi boundary to the territorial sea boundary, but at this moment Etienne knew the information and immediately reported the information to the Lord of Darkness. Dark Sea, CJFJ Endless Heavenly Ancestor, are you sure that the entrance to the territorial sea boundary from the Yahi boundary seam is at that position? The Lord of Darkness didn't believe it, he couldn't even perceive it. Why did Etienne perceive it? Etienne explained. Lord of Darkness, I have to lie, and it's not good for me. You might as well believe it once. If they really invade from there, I don't know if you can make some preparations or wait for the Yahi palace. The bone-shifting creatures are coming, it will be troublesome. Okay, I believe you. I will contact other bone transformation realm, but if your information is not accurate, you will be in trouble afterwards. The Lord of Darkness reminded. I know, Etienne said, somewhere in the territorial sea. The Lord of Darkness, the Lord of Taiku Mountain and other bone transformation realms have all come. The Lord of the Void also came. After all, the Lord of the Void didn't take action in this matter, and they couldn't help the bone transformation realm of the Yahi Palace. Let's set up, the Lord of the Void said. Swish. A bone transformation began to form a formation. For bone transformation, the use of the formation can still burst out more terrifying power, but the formation they need to arrange is very advanced, and the cost is also very high. If it is not guaranteed by the Lord of Darkness, and the Lord of Hollow Void also agrees, otherwise other bone transformation realm ancestors will never agree to set up the formation easily. In case Etienne made a mistake, their losses would be no small thing. Soon, the arrangement of the formation was completed, and then it was continuously strengthened. And a bone transformation boundary stood on the node, urging the magic circle all the time, absorbing the endless energy of the sea boundary seam, so as to keep the magic circle at its peak power. Once the bone transformation realm heavenly ancestors from a river palace came in, they immediately launched a full blow, sacrificing the magic circle, thus seriously injuring and even killing several bone transformation realm. Under normal circumstances, this formation is useless, because other bone transformation realms cannot come in obediently. But if Etienne's information is correct, then he can seriously damage the Yahi Palace. Time passed slowly, and they were also in a hurry, wondering if they made a mistake this time. Finally, the air twisted, and one after another body emerged, impressively, a bit of bone change in the river palace. They are really here. Attack, the Lord of the Void. Boom, this magic circle burned all origins, and under the control of a bone transformation, it exploded with lethality beyond the limit. This area was directly annihilated billions of times. And the one from the Yahi Palace was stunned. Why did he fall into such a big formation just after entering, and was attacked? A weaker bone transformation realm was directly bombarded and killed, and not even scum was left. The Lord of True Eyes, the Lord of Huangzi, these powerful bone transformation realms shot with all their strength, trying to block this blow. However, they resisted hastily and got injured one by one. Go back, the Lord of True Eyes ordered. Swish. This bit of bone transfiguration withdrew to the Yahi boundary seam. Yahi boundary seam. A bone transfiguration came back, and the True Eye Lord and other bone transfiguration suffered most of the attacks, and were seriously injured at the moment. And other bone transformation realms are also extremely miserable, and some are left with a little residual body, and slowly healed into a complete body. In short, none of the bone transformation realm who came back alive is complete. What happened to these bone transformation adults? The blood changes in the Yahi Palace were stunned. How could it be like this after entering and coming back? What a terrifying attack. Could it be that a terrifying powerhouse was born in the Sea of Territorial Sea during this period of time, and this caused heavy damage to these big men in Yahi Palace? Fault 6 Bones. The Lord of True Eyes felt extremely distressed. Moreover, they are now severely damaged one by one, and it will take a long time for them to recover. The point is, they don't understand why it's like this. There is definitely a traitor. The Lord of Huangzi said angrily. The bones in the Sea of Territorial Sea are estimated to be gathered there. Not only the magic circle, but the full blow of burning this magic circle is attacked, and it does not even need to be charged up and attacked directly. It means that they knew we were coming and were ready. Has anyone entered this fissure entrance during this time? The Lord of True Eyes asked. At this time, a blood-changed state trembled and said, Master Feng Tu has gone in, but he will be back soon. Phoenix Cluster. The Lord of Huangzi was furious. He thought it was Feng Tu in the Bone Change realm in the Territorial Sea, who reported the situation, or was found, but did not report. In short, no matter what the situation is, Feng Tu should die. Chapter 2523 Only the last immeasurable bone remains. Yahi Palace. Feng Tu was cultivating, and he never thought that a disaster was about to come to him. Boom, the place where he retreated was blasted to pieces. Immediately afterwards, a big hand grabbed him from the layers of formation. Lord of the Emperor. Feng Tuo was dumbfounded, he didn't understand why the deputy palace lord, the Lord of Huangzi, arrested him. He didn't offend the Lord of Huangzi either. Speaking of which, he was still an ancient genius in the lineage of the Lord of Huangzi. Immediately afterwards, he understood the existence of a bone transformation, and the killing intent was revealed in his eyes. Feng Tu, you are really brave, big. The Lord of Huangzi roared. Elders and deputy palace masters, what happened? Feng Tu asked. What's the matter? The Lord of Huangzi said coldly. You went to the seam of the territorial sea to expose our position, and let the bone transformation realm of the Sea of Territorial Sea set up a magic circle there, but when we got there, we entered in their magic circle, they shot directly. This time, we lost a total of 6 bone transformation, and even we were hit hard. Fallen 6 bone transformation realm. Feng Tu was shocked by the news, but this matter has nothing to do with him. Master Huangzi, I really didn't go to the seam of the Territorial Sea. Feng Tu explained. I have been practicing in Yahi Palace, and my servant can prove it. Isn't it very simple to deceive your servants with your cultivation? Besides, you went to the Territorial Sea and saw many blood changes. Do you still want to argue? Report, or inadvertently leaked his whereabouts. In short, you are responsible for the loss of Yahi Palace. Boom, the Lord of Huangzi directly pinched the phoenix cluster. It stands to reason that Yahigong attaches great importance to an ancient genius like Feng Tu, and even if he makes a big mistake, he will not kill him. However, this time, the loss of the Yahi Palace was too heavy. 6 bone transfiguration realm fell, and many bone transfiguration realm were seriously injured. This is a very serious situation. Therefore, Feng Tu must die, otherwise there is no way to explain. Feng Tu probably never thought that she would die like this. Yi Tian chuckled. Who asked Feng Tu to trouble him? He is usually very low-key, and he has been troubled and targeted by the other party several times. There is only one reason for Feng Tu to trouble him, and that is resources. The Yahi Palace only has so many resources to cultivate immemorial talent, one more immemorial talent and one more competitor. Other immemorial geniuses had backgrounds, and Feng Tu did not dare to target them, but Yi Tian, the ancient Lu Tianzu, had no background, so he was targeted. Therefore, Yi Tian let Feng Tu take the blame by the way. After this incident, the Yahi Palace will never dare to invade the seam of the Territorial Sea again, unless the palace master of the Yahi Palace is allowed to leave the customs and then invade the seam of the Territorial Sea, but what if there are still traps? At this time, the Territorial Sea boundary seam has been fully vigilant, and continuing to invade will only cause heavier losses. After all, the Yahi Palace is weaker than the Hunhi realm, even if it does not dare to take risks. Lord of Darkness, it's all thanks to you this time. A bone transfiguration thanked. If it wasn't for the Lord of Darkness who strongly advocated this plan, they would really not agree. The main thing is that the endless Lord of our Dark Sea provided information. The Lord of Darkness smiled. Yes, the endless heavenly ancestor is very good. If it weren't for him, if he really let those bone transformation heavenly ancestors of Yahi Palace come, he could easily destroy any top hegemonic force, and countless heavenly ancestors would be killed. The Lord of Hollow Void applauded. Many bone transformation realms chatted and did not leave. They were also afraid that after the bone transformation realm of Yahi Palace was healed, they would invade again. Therefore, they are prepared to stay here for a few more years. Years go by. Yi Tian practiced as usual, and as his strength increased, Ji Lu Tianzu's cloned body received more and more attention in Yahi Palace, and many ancient inscriptions were opened to him, allowing him to comprehend a large number of ancient inscriptions. In the blink of an eye, an ancient era passed. At this time, Yi Tian has used the mixed ruins liquid and other resources to temper his heart to the extreme of the 9 blood transitions, and has also practiced many ancient techniques, and his body is as strong as the bone transition. Moreover, after the creation of a primordial era, he is about to create the second supreme primordial bone technique. This day, the second supreme ancient bone art was created successfully. Immediately, he integrated this supreme ancient bone technique into an immeasurable bone. Ask for flowers. Boom, this immeasurable bone was completely transformed, making his physical body stronger again. So far, he has only 2 immeasurable bones left without bone changes. Mixed cave. Yi Tian's copy of the body's sub-blood transformation is the result, the cultivation of this Shushu cave, and the husband. Moreover, he took advantage of his status to continuously scrape some resources in the Hongshu cave that would help to transform countless bones and bones, deducting a little bit every time. Even if those bone transformation realms knew about it, they would not say anything. The bloodfish talent, the Shuiji talent, and the dragon flame talent, these three clone bodies all adopt this method, and constantly scrape the resources that help the real body to copy the countless bones and bones of the body. All in all, nothing for nothing. Occasionally, he also does other tricks and steals resources. Finally, on this day, I gathered a lot of resources. Afterwards, his real body duplicated the body and took these resources out from the seam of the honey boundary. Hopefully these resources can make one of my countless bones regenerate. Yi Tian hoped. Subsequently, he began to refine these resources for bone transformation. After a period of time, these resources have been exhausted, and the bone transformation has not been completed, but he has created a top-notch ancient bone technique, integrated it into the immeasurable bone, and finally completed the immeasurable bone. Bone change. Only the last immeasurable bone remains. Yi Tian was extremely excited. If this immeasurable bone also completes the bone transformation, then he will completely reach the bone transformation realm, and his strength will be terrifyingly improved, directly comparable to the ordinary 3-bone transformation realm Tianzu. No, it is much stronger than the ordinary 3-bone transformations. After all, his strength is much stronger than that of ordinary Taiku-level geniuses. The honey boundary seam has recently been integrated into the territorial sea boundary seam faster and faster. It is estimated that there will be another primordial era to completely integrate into the territorial sea boundary seam. At that time, the overlord-level forces such as Hongshu Cave and Qishan will definitely be invasion of the territorial sea and seem to occupy territory. He plans to completely step into the bone transformation realm before that time, and by the way, he will also upgrade his 3 vests to the bone transformation realm and become the high level of the honey boundary seam, then there will be no problem at all. Chapter 2524 The Last Moment, Breakthrough, Bone Change. Yi Tian created the supreme ancient bone technique while collecting resources. No matter which one succeeded, he could break through to the bone transformation realm. At this time, many forces in the territorial sea and seam began to gather together to deal with future crises. And Yi Tian is also making plans. For example, he integrates massive resources into Wanlong's territorial waters, thereby cultivating Wanlong's territorial waters and upgrading Wanlong's territorial waters. After all, the advantage of the territorial sea is still very large, and it can suppress foreign creatures so as to give itself an advantage. If the Wanlong territorial sea grows to the level of the primordial sea, the human race does not need to move out, and can directly cultivate in the Wanlong territorial sea. To this end, Yi Tian invested countless resources, and many resources like the Hunhi Jiejiao were secretly obtained by him, and then merged into the Wanlonghai. Gradually, the energy in Wanlong's territorial waters became more and more powerful, and the more, 3, 4, 3, the source became. This way of cultivating the Wanlong territorial waters for a primordial era, even if it is not comparable to the primordial territorial sea, it can still be comparable to the Mingdu territorial waters. No, it can definitely surpass the Mingdu territorial waters. Yi Tian thought to himself. Wanlong territorial waters. The human race has continuously cultivated the Wanlong territorial sea, built a large number of treasures, and integrated countless resources into each territorial area, which has continuously upgraded the entire territorial sea and benefited the other blood-changing realm ancestors. One by one is excited. The resources in Wanlong's territorial sea are more and more abundant, and it is even richer than the resources of the territorial sea. I still go to the territorial sea and take the risk of doing how comfortable it is to practice in Wanlong's territorial sea. Long Yatianzu murmured. He also knows that all of these are benefits brought by the endless heavenly ancestor, and he does not know how much resources the endless heavenly ancestor has invested in. It must be an amount that he cannot imagine. If nothing else, the number of ancestors in the blood change state of the human race is in units of 10,000, and it is known how much resources Yi Tian has given to the human race. Of course, he couldn't be jealous either, after all Yi Tian and he were not of the same race. It would be nice if he could take advantage of it. And Wanlong's territorial waters are getting stronger and stronger, and some of the blood-changing realm ancestors who were wandering in the outside world have also returned one by one after receiving the news. Falcon Dragon City. Long Ye Tianzu met one of his ancestors, Hongtong Tianzu. Of course, he is actually not familiar with Hongtong Tianzu, but his master's master is only the registered disciple of this Hongtong Tianzu, and he has not been in contact with him for many years. I don't know whose message Hongtong Tianzu received, and now he ran back. If Hongtong Tianzu didn't come back, he would have thought this one was dead. Ancestor, you have been missing for countless years. Longye Tianzu said. Hey, it's not easy to roam in the outside world, and it's also caused a lot of trouble, and I don't dare to come back, for fear of bringing trouble to the territorial waters of my hometown. Hongtong Tianzu said with a smile, I didn't expect my lineage to be born. A 5-time blood change realm ancestor. The dragon-tooth heavenly ancestor has been in the blood transformation realm 5 times now, and his strength is much stronger than in the past. You are a lot worse than your ancestor. Longye Tianzu said modestly. Hongtong Tianzu is a world-breaking genius, and his current cultivation has reached 6 blood changes, and his real combat power is comparable to the ordinary 7 blood changes. With such an existence, it's no wonder that I didn't want to go back to Wanlong's territorial waters before, because I didn't like it. Of course, he didn't say it. I didn't expect the endless heavenly ancestor to come from our Wanlong territorial waters. Hongtong heavenly ancestor said with emotion. Does the endless heavenly ancestor have a great reputation in the territorial sea? Longye Tianzu has not left Wanlong's territorial waters for a long time. His strength was too weak before, so he didn't know the intelligence of Wanlong's territorial waters. He only knew that Hentai Tianzu was very powerful, but how powerful it was unclear. Hongtong Tianzu said, you don't know how powerful the endless Tianzu is. But I can't blame you. After all, you haven't been out of Wanlong's territorial waters. So, you should know about the 9 blood changes, even if it is 9 blood changes. A world-shattering genius who has changed, is an ant in front of the endless heavenly ancestor. 1 inch. What? Longye Tianzu was shocked. He thinks that no matter how powerful the endless heavenly ancestor is, it is estimated that he is a world-breaking genius who has undergone 8 blood changes. Otherwise, how could he be so boasted by Hongtong heavenly ancestor? But now Hongtong Tianzu actually said that the world-breaking geniuses of the 9 blood changes are all ants in front of the endless Tianzu. Hongtong Tianzu continued. Above the world-breaking genius is the ancient-level genius. Any ancient-level genius can instantly kill a world-breaking genius of the same rank, and the endless ancestor is now a 9-time blood change level ancient-level genius, according to rumors. The endless heavenly ancestor is not far away from surpassing the 9 blood changes. Moreover, the scenes of the territorial sea are a bit chaotic now, and many blood changes are looking for support. We have worked hard for Wanlong territorial sea to have endless heavenly ancestors, and now endless heavenly ancestor is vigorously cultivating Wanlong territorial sea, and it must be cultivated here as a base camp. The endless heavenly ancestor is really amazing. Longye Tianzu sighed with emotion. And this kind of dialogue is not just the two of them, many blood changes are bragging about the endless ancestors, and even the human race is arrogantly boasting about the endless ancestors Yitian. Before you know it, another primordial era is about to pass. At this time, Yitian is trying his best to create the supreme primordial bone technique. As for the resources, he has long since given up, and he can't get them at all. In order to create the supreme ancient bone technique as soon as possible, he used all the other cloned bodies to test and experiment frantically, so as to strive to improve the primordial bone technique he created and perfect it to the highest level. After countless trials, creations, and insights, the supreme primordial bone technique was finally created. This day, boom, Yitian successfully created another high-level immemorial bone technique, and immediately merged into the last immeasurable bone. Boom, this immeasurable bone finally began to change, and with the bone change of this immeasurable bone, the entire body began to transform. This is a breakthrough in a great realm, a qualitative change. Yitian's breakthrough was carried out in the 59,000 dragon territorial waters. In this way, his breakthrough to the bone transformation realm would also cause the transformation of the territorial waters, which was good for the territorial waters. A huge phantom that covered the entire Wanlong territorial waters appeared. This was a vision formed by Yitian's breakthrough aura. At this moment, countless creatures were kneeling on the ground, and even the high-altitude bone transformation realm moved slowly. This is the horror of bone transformation. Dragon-tooth heavenly ancestor, Hongtong heavenly ancestor, and others in the blood transformation realm saw this scene, and they all showed shock. What's going on? Longye Tianzu asked. Hongtong Tianzu said with a shocked face, this is a breakthrough. Endless Tianzu broke the shackles and was promoted to the realm above the 9 blood changes. The human race is going to become the top overlord level force. Chapter 2525 The first vest breaks through the bone change. For the top hegemonic forces, there are not many seams in the entire territorial sea. Of course, if the human race wants to become a top overlord level force, it also needs to be recognized by other top level overlord level forces. Hongtong Tianzu didn't understand this either, so he said this. A real top-level overlord level force must have at least 8 blood transitions and 9 blood transformation ancestors, otherwise how can they become top-level overlord forces? Time passed slowly. Yi Tian's body became stronger and stronger. Gradually, his breakthrough was almost complete. This day, the vision ended, and everything in Wanlong's territorial waters returned to normal. Finally broke through to the bone transformation realm. Yi Tian said excitedly, he is much stronger now than he used to be. If he fights with his past self, he can completely kill himself who has undergone 9 blood changes in an instant. This is the power of bone transformation. 29 inches an immemorial genius of the bone transformation realm, the real combat power is probably invincible among the ordinary 3 bone transformation realm heavenly ancestors. Yi Tian murmured. And with his breakthrough, Wanlong's territorial waters also began to be upgraded. At this time, Wanlong's territorial waters had already surpassed Mingdu's territorial waters. Although it was not as good as the Taigu territorial waters, the gap was not too big. Dark Sea. When Yi Tian came here, the Lord of Darkness was shocked. Endless heavenly ancestor, you have broken through to the bone transformation realm. The Lord of Darkness was extremely surprised. He didn't expect Yi Tian to break through to the bone transformation realm so quickly. How did he do it? Just relying on those endless golden marrow is useless. That point of endless golden marrow, coupled with the top ancient bone technique, can at most make a limitless bone change, and the effect is not too big. Anyway, I don't understand. Lord of Darkness, I just broke through by luck. Yi Tian muttered, your strength is no less than mine now. The Lord of Darkness exclaimed. He is a world-breaking genius of the second bone transformation, while Yi Tian is an ancient genius of the first bone transformation, and the combat power is not much different. Subsequently, Yi Tian chatted with the Lord of Darkness, and soon came to the issue of the boundary seam of the Hun River. The boundary seam of the Hunhe River is about to be completely integrated into the boundary seam of the territorial sea. Those blood-changing creatures and bone-changing creatures in the boundary seam of the Hunhe River will soon become the blood-changing creatures of the boundary seam of the territorial sea. Right now, there is a problem that some bones the changing world is ready to join the top overlord level forces at the boundary of the Hunhe River. The Lord of Darkness. To take refuge. Yi Tian frowned. Who wants to take refuge? The Lord of the Dragon Emperor of the Taiku Dragon Clan, and the Lord of the Ancient Peng of the Taiku Peng Clan. Said the Lord of Darkness. It's them. Yi Tian knows that these two are quite powerful. The Lord of Darkness continued. You also know that the top overlord level forces in the Hunhe GG are all blood-changing creatures, not practitioners. Now, the Hunhe GG is integrated into the territorial sea seam, which also represents those Hunhe GG. The top overlord level forces in the seam will also become the top overlord level forces in the territorial sea and seam, the same as us. In the previous meeting, the Lord of the Dragon Emperor and the Lord of the Ji Yupeng raised this question, and I learned from their tone. In the middle, they felt that they wanted to take refuge in the top hegemonic forces of the Hunhe GG. Who do they want to take refuge with? Yi Tian was curious. In Hengshu Cave, Qishan Mountain, and Junlong Cave, they have never heard of this. The Lord of Darkness said, I only know that the Lord of the Dragon Emperor has contacted the Primordial Chaos Dragon, and the Lord of Ji Yupeng has contacted the Yumeng. The Primordial Chaos Dragon has no power, so the Lord of the Dragon Emperor wants to unite with the Primordial Chaos Dragon to establish a top overlord level forces, but also worried about giving a large number of primordial dragons to the Primordial Chaotic Dragon, so that it can breed descendants. The Master of Ji Yupeng is the complete. All of them have taken refuge, because the Yu League is the weakest among the top hegemonic forces in the Hunhe GG. There are only 2 bone transformation realms. If the Lord of Ji Yupeng joins, it can greatly increase their strength. It turned out to be the Primordial Chaos Dragon and the Yumeng. Yi Tian knew about them and didn't like them at all before. He didn't expect the Lord of the Dragon Emperor and the Lord of Ji Yupeng to join them. That is to say, the bone transformation realm on the side of the blood transformation realm creature may turn against the water at any time. Yi Tian asked. Yes. The Lord of Darkness nodded. No way, we haven't found a solution yet, the day is getting closer and closer, those blood-changing creatures have no territorial sea as a cover, so they are very scared, so they chose this way. If we still can't find a way, we may have to relocate to a certain territorial sea in the Dark Sea. Yi Tian didn't say much. He did find a way for himself, that is to use those vests. He is going to let one of the vests break through to the bone transformation realm, so that he can become the deputy leader of a top hegemonic force, and he will have a lot of right to speak. Just choose Qixin's bloodfish Tianzu vest, let this vest break through first. Yi Tian decided. After a period of time, Qixin. Yi Tian made this immemorial genius clone the body to complete a breakthrough, using the supreme immemorial bone technique used by the real body, plus some resources. After all, the foundation of this cloned body is not as good as the real body, and it costs less resources. If you put together a little bit, you will be able to break through by luck. Boom! 343 Yi Tian's cloned body broke through to the bone transformation realm, and the vision shocked the four-bone transformation realm of Qixin. Shui Tianzu wants to break through the light. The Lord of Shiwang was stunned. What is the situation? He has been in retreat, and he does not understand the cultivation situation of the bloodfish Tianzu, but why did he suddenly break through? The bloodfish Tianzu is an ancient genius. It is too difficult for an ancient genius to become a bone transformation realm. Other ancient geniuses who have cultivated from the ancient times to the present have not made a breakthrough. Only the bloodfish Tianzu joined Qixin. How long? The allocated resources are also pitiful. How can we break through in this situation? How did the bloodfish Tianzu break through? The Lord of the Giant Bones asked curiously. If this situation can be replicated, then they can cultivate some more immemorial genius-level bone transformation realm. At that time, it will be just around the corner for Qixin to surpass the Hongshu cave. After the bloodfish Tianzu's breakthrough is completed, ask him what the situation is. The Lord of He suggested. So, they waited silently. Mixed cave. The Lord of the Ruins looked at Qixin. Qixin gave birth to a bone transformation realm. I haven't heard of any of them who are facing a breakthrough in the 9-blood transformation realm. 1. He felt a little curious. Chapter 2526 Complete Integration. The Lord of the Ruins invades the Taiku Sea. It has been a long time since a bone transformation realm was born in the Hongshu cave. Of course, they really have to go all out to cultivate an ordinary bone transformation, and it can be done, but there is no need for that, and it is impossible to do it. Who wants to waste resources to cultivate an ordinary bone transmutation realm, and it has nothing to do with himself, just a member of the Hongshu cave, there is no such treatment yet. Not only the Hongshu cave, but other top hegemon-level forces are also paying attention to Qixin, and they all envy Qixin for the birth of a bone transformation realm. As a result, Qixin has 5 bones, and his strength has skyrocketed. Not long after, they were shocked to learn that Qixin was born with an immemorial genius-level bone transformation realm. There is a huge gap between an ordinary bone transformation realm and a primordial genius-level bone transformation realm. The bone transformation realm primordial genius can directly compare the combat power of the bone transformation realm 3 times. Qixin, Yi Tian, the bloodfish Tianzu vest, gradually stabilized his realm. Then, he went out. At this time, the 4 bones of Qixin came over. Master of Bloodfish, congratulations on the breakthrough. Master of Bloodfish, congratulations on the breakthrough. Master of Bloodfish, congratulations on the breakthrough. The 4 bone transformations congratulated each other. Yi Tian broke through the vest to become an ancient genius, and naturally he became one of the 5 giants of Qixin, and his status was instantly higher. The key is that he is still an immemorial genius, and his combat power is comparable to the 3 bone transformation realms. Among the 5 bone transformation realms in Qixin, he is not the weakest. Instead, he is ranked 2nd. It is estimated that he is only stronger than him. Lord of the Bone. The Lord of the Giant Bones is the world-breaking genius of the 3 bone transformation realms, so he is the most powerful. The other 3 bone transformation realms were slightly weaker. Among them, Lord High's was the weakest, only the 2nd bone transformation realm, not a world-breaking level genius, nor an immemorial level genius. At this time, the Master of Giant Bones asked, Master of Bloodfish, how did you achieve the breakthrough of bone transformation in such a short period of time? Quote. Yi Tian naturally found the reason for a long time, so he said, it is very easy for me to understand the ancient inscriptions and the most advanced ancient bone techniques. I have created many top ancient bone techniques that are infinitely close to the most advanced ancient bone techniques. Resources and luck are also very good, so the last few immeasurable bones have been successfully changed. 1. It is so, the 4 bones were shocked. But it seems that this possibility is also the most reasonable, and it is unreasonable for other reasons. After all, in the absence of resources, only the supreme ancient bone art and the top ancient bone art cooperate with resources to break through this method. Knowing the truth, they didn't ask any more questions. After all, this method is only suitable for ETN, not for other blood-changing creatures. There is no way to copy this method. Immediately, they secretly regretted it. I thought ETN had a special way to break through, but it turned out to be too much. Soon afterward, Chishan announced the name of the Lord of Bloodfish. And other top hegemon level forces all know that Chishan has an extra ancient genius of bone transformation, which makes Chishan's status even higher. Of course, the ratio between Chishan and Hunkshu Cave is much worse, not comparable at all. Time passed slowly, and the barriers in this part of the Hunhi boundary seam gradually dissipated, which meant that the Hunhi boundary seam was going to be completely integrated into the territorial sea boundary seam. At this time, the top overlord level forces such as Hunzudong, Chishan, Junlongdongtian, etc. are all ready to move, wanting to go out and occupy more territory. Boom! The barrier of the boundary seam of the Hun River completely disappeared, and this part of the territory was completely turned into a part of the boundary seam of the territorial sea. Shish! A bone transfiguration existence entered the territorial sea boundary seam, and the strength was not suppressed. They have completely become a part of the territorial sea boundary seam. Go and destroy several top overlord level forces in the seam of the territorial sea. The Lord of Chaos said lightly. He wants to stand up. Which is the most recent top hegemonic force here? The Lord of the Ruins asked. It's the primordial Pung clan. Set a bone transformation realm. Then destroy the primordial Pung clan first. The Lord of Chaos said lightly. This is, the master of the bone transformation creature Golden Feather of the Yumeng League stood up and said. The Lord of the Ruins, the primordial Pung clan is willing to take refuge in our Yumeng League, and please let the Lord of the Ruins let go of the primordial Pung clan. 1. The primordial Pung clan has joined your Feather League, so forget it. The Lord of the Ruins. If it was before, he really wouldn't put the Yu League in his eyes, but there are not many top hegemon level forces in the Hunhi Jejiao, and they still need to unite, and they can't fight against all the forces in the Hunkshu Cave alone. Therefore, he would not deliberately offend the Yumeng. The Lord of the Ruins, the primordial dragon clan has also taken refuge with us, so don't embarrass them. Primordial Chaos Dragon appeared and said. You guys. The Lord of the Ruins frowned. If the entire territorial sea and boundary seam were to take refuge in this group of guys, would he still not be able to stand up? Find trouble in the Dark Sea. The Lord of the Ruins decided. Boom! A group of bone metamorphosis flew to the Dark Sea. However, at this time, the Dark Sea has long been evacuated. This is also the decision of the Lord of Darkness. He decided to temporarily avoid the edge. Dark Sea. The Lord of the Ruins has come. The Dark Sea has run away. The Lord of the Ruins said coldly. He probably guessed that the group of guys ran into the territorial waters, but thought that if they entered the territorial waters, they could keep it. He wanted to stand up, but no one could stop him. Give me a direct invasion of the Taiku Sea. He remembered that the primordial sea was not weak, and it was also one of the main fighting forces of the practitioners in the primordial era. Therefore, the Lord of the Ruins went directly to the Taiku Sea. After a while, they came to Taiku Sea. Taiku Mountain, Ice and Snow Palace, and another top overlord level force, Qingyuzong, all knew that a group of bone transformations had come from the outside world, and their expressions changed drastically. Their 3 top hegemon level forces in total. Alright can only make up 7 bone transformation realms. How can they resist the invasion of the Lord of the Ruins? So, just ask for help. But under the circumstance that the territorial sea boundary seam is relatively weak, it is hard to say whether other forces will help. We still have an advantage. The Taiku Sea is a territorial sea, and it has a suppressing effect on the blood-changing creatures in the outside world. The Taiku Mountain Master thought to himself. But he also knew that this suppression was of little significance and would not solve the problem. Boom! The Lord of the Ruins attacked outside the Taiku Sea, and the attacks tore apart the barriers of the Taiku Sea. Finally, Teguai was breached. Ha ha ha, even if you hide in the territorial waters, there is no point. The Lord of Chaos said with a smile. At this moment, a figure emerged, blocking the Lord of the Ruins west. Lord of the Ruins, let's live in peace, don't invade. The one who stopped the Lord of the Ruins was the Lord of the Void. Chapter 2527 Demarcation of Territories. Lord of the Void. The Lord of the Ruins didn't expect the Lord of the Void to come to stop him. He had played against the Lord of the Void, and it was in the primordial era. After he entered the seam of the territorial sea, his strength was suppressed, so he was indistinguishable from the Lord of the Void. Now it is not too far away from the primordial era, and he has stopped moving forward. He is still in the 5-bone transformation realm, but he is infinitely close to the 6-bone transformation realm. Lord of the Void, court death. The Lord of the Ruins held the Spear of the Ruins and killed the Lord of the Void. Boom! The two sides collided. The first wave of fights. The Lord of the Void was shaken back, but nothing happened. You broke through. The Lord of the Ruins was surprised. It was just a lucky breakthrough not long ago. The Lord of the Void said with a smile. I may not be your opponent, the Lord of the Ruins, but it is not so easy for you to defeat me. Besides, the seam of the territorial sea is not just me. Realm, Lord of the Ruins, you are now part of the territorial sea boundary seam, and it is not very good to really turn the territorial sea boundary seam into an ancient battlefield. 1. The Lord of the Ruins frowned. Indeed, the Lord of the Void is now on the same level as him. Even so, the other top hegemon level forces in the territorial sea are not their opponents, but they will also cause them trouble. If they are not careful, they will lose a few bones. Change. In this case, Qixin and Junlongdongtiandu 343 are not necessarily willing to take action. At that time, there will be only their family in the Hunkshu cave, and there is no way they can do anything about these top overlord level forces in the seam of the territorial sea. Sit down and negotiate, the Lord of the Ruins suggested. If the seam of the territorial sea is an easily pinched ant, he doesn't mind killing some bones. But now that the seam of the territorial sea is a little dangerous, he doesn't need to do it. Therefore, sitting down and negotiating is the best option. I agree, the Lord of the Void nodded, and he breathed a sigh of relief. He is really afraid that the Master of the Ruins will do anything at all costs, so he will not be able to keep other bone changes. Fortunately, the Lord of the Ruins is still afraid of him. Next, a bone transformation realm from the territorial sea boundary gathered in a territory outside the primordial territory, and negotiated with the bone transformation realm, the Lord of the Mixed Ruins. Said to be a negotiation, in fact, it is to divide the territory and the treasure land to the Lord of the Ruins. This time, Yi Tian's real body replica body naturally also participated. And Yi Tian's other vest bloodfish lord is also here, just an enemy. So, Yi Tian's real body and the vest looked at each other. And other bone transformation realm didn't find anything wrong. At this meeting, he was just listening in and was not qualified to speak. What was really discussed was the Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Void, who were the negotiators in charge of the meeting. At this time, the Lion of the Mixed Ruins opened his mouth and said, "You don't want to fight, you can give up 70% of the territorial sea and boundary seam and hand it over to us, then we will no longer invade you." 70%, too many. The Lord of the Void didn't even think about it, so he refused. Although he does not have a territory, he represents the entire territorial sea and boundary, so it is naturally impossible to agree to this matter. He doesn't have to think about it, and he knows that other bone transitions in the territorial sea will not agree to such an outrageous request. Subsequently, the two sides continued to bargain, and after a long period of negotiation, it was finally settled. 50% of the territory. In other words, 50% of the territory of the territorial sea boundary and many power sites are divided into these top hegemonic forces in the Hunhe boundary. The next step is to negotiate those territories to the top hegemonic forces such as Hunkshu Cave, Junlongdongtian, and Qixin, which must be discussed in detail. And this discussion took a lot of time. And Taishuanhai, the ancient treasure land where the human race is located, has also been divided. In this regard, Yi Tian said a few words, but there was no way to stop it, because other top hegemon level forces agreed, and it was meaningless for him to oppose it alone. But, he still divided this treasure land to Qixin through the Lord of the Vest Bloodfish, and even transferred it to his name. In other words, Tai Xuanhai was still under his name, but his left hand was turned to his right. After this long time of negotiation, the final decision CJFJ came down, and the two sides signed an agreement. Dark Sea. The Lord of Darkness came back with many blood transformation practitioners, because he kept this ancient treasure. However, Tai Xuanhai did not keep it, which made the Lord of Darkness feel a little guilty. Lord of Endless, I'm really sorry, I can't keep Tai Xuanhai. The Lord of Darkness said apologetically. Perhaps in the past, a mere piece of ancient treasure land was nothing, but now 50% of the territory is divided into top hegemon level forces such as Hunkshu Cave, which reduces the living space. At this time, a piece of ancient treasure is precious. Lord of Darkness, I don't care, it's just a piece of Taishuan Sea, it's no big deal. Yi Tian said lightly. After all, the human race still has Wanlong territorial waters. Although the area where Wanlong territorial waters are now is also occupied by Qishan, Qishan has no way to occupy Wanlong territorial waters. After all, they are not practitioners, nor are they living beings in Wanlong territorial waters. Dragon territorial sea is not suitable for them to survive. Certainly, if the creatures in Wanlong's territorial waters come out, it will be a little troublesome, and they may be attacked by the blood-changing creatures of Qishan. However, as long as Yi Tian asks the Bloodfish Lord to arrange the best, the problem is not big. You still need strength. If you have strength, you don't care about these issues. Yi Tian secretly said. Years go by. The next period of time was more chaotic, because the top overlord level forces such as the Lord of the Ruins, Junlongdongtian, and Qishan occupied 50% of the territory of the boundary gap, which caused many forces to lose their original backers. Therefore, a lot of battles broke out in this period, but they were all small fights. Many forces eventually took refuge in the top hegemon level forces such as the Hunkshu Cave, and found their backers again. As for the practitioners in the territory under the leadership of the top hegemonic forces such as the Hunkshu Cave, their life was very hard, and they were severely suppressed. Their cultivation base is very weak, and there is no way to cross the long territory and go to other places. As for a part of the human race Taishuanhai cultivation, about this matter, a blood-changing creature informed Qishan, and several other bone-changing creatures also talked to Yi Tian's best bloodfish master. Master of Bloodfish, why do you still let some practitioners practice in the treasure land of Taishuan Sea? The Lord of Shiwang asked curiously. It's nothing, we have no shortage of ancient treasures in Qishan now, and I have dealt with the endless ancestors before, so I temporarily used Taishuanhai for them. Is there any problem? Yi Tian asked. No problem. The Lord of Shiwang didn't say anything more. After all, it's just a Taishuanhai, so what if you give it? Anyway, it was originally from the human race, not theirs, so there's no need to offend the master of the bloodfish with huge potential because of this small matter. Just like that, it was as if it never happened. Chapter 2528 The New Treasure, the Ancient Source Crystal. Years go by. The seam of the territorial sea has gradually stabilized, and the top hegemonic forces occupy a piece of territory, and there are many forces under their command to surrender. It can be said that the surface is very calm. Wanlong territorial waters. Yi Tian ended a period of cultivation. The cultivation of bone transformation is really difficult. He also used a lot of resources suitable for the bone transformation realm to refine countless bones, but he himself completed a bone transformation, and it is very difficult to continue refining on the basis of a bone transformation. Even if there are a lot of resources, in a short period of time, don't even think about tempering to the extreme of a bone transformation realm, let alone hitting a second bone transformation realm. Like many bone transformation realms, it took hundreds of thousands or even millions of primordial era to be able to break through to the second bone transformation realm. Therefore, it is almost impossible for him to break through to the second bone transformation in just 1 or 2 primordial era. Unless he can get a big chance in a short period of time. This day, the territorial sea boundary swayed slightly, and then the energy of the entire territorial sea boundary was rising. This is an upgrade of the territorial sea boundary seam. Yi Tian was enlightened. Since that part of the Hunhe boundary seam has been integrated into the territorial sea boundary seam, the entire territorial sea boundary seam has been upgraded, but the process of upgrading is very slow. Now, the upgrade process is finally complete. From now on, the personality of the territorial sea boundary will be on the same level as the previous Hunhe boundary. Of course, the area of the Hunhe boundary seam is very small, far less than that of the territorial sea boundary seam. In the past, the Hunhe boundary gap was equivalent to a fist-sized iron ball, while the territorial sea boundary gap was equivalent to an earth-sized wooden ball. Now, the seam of the territorial sea has also become an iron ball, and the personality is directly the same. The territorial sea boundary seam has been upgraded, and the bone transformation realm is very happy. Even the bone transformation realm of the original Hunhe boundary seam is very happy, which means that more and more opportunities will be born in the future territorial sea boundary seam. In this way, they can obtain more resources and raise their cultivation to a higher realm. The area of the Hunhe boundary seam is still incomparable with the territorial sea boundary seam, So after this upgrade of the territorial sea boundary seam, the total amount of resources in the future is not comparable to the honey boundary seam. The next era will also be the era of bone transformation carnival. Subsequently, the major forces have dispatched a large number of blood change realm to explore various territories. Once a new treasure or opportunity is born, they will report it as soon as possible. And Yi Tian also sent a group of human races to look for opportunities. This day, somewhere in the seam of the territorial sea, a new treasure land was born. For the first time, a bone-changed realm came to this new treasure. The reason why this new treasure land has attracted so many bone transformations is that it is quite extraordinary, and the energy fluctuations are too terrifying. Whoa whoa whoa, a bit of bone change comes. Yi Tian also came here. The treasure land is still being conceived, and there is no way to enter it yet. Yi Tian took a look and judged it. At this time, the Lord of the Ruins tried to forcibly break in, but a white light directly shook the Lord of the Ruins flying. What a terrifying treasure, it can shock me. The Lord of the Ruins sighed with emotion. Since you can't break in by force, you can only wait. They calculated that if this treasure land was to be conceived, it would probably take another primordial era. A primordial era is a long time, so many bone transformation realms left one by one, but they all sent blood transformation realm to be stationed here to report the situation at any time. Years go by, an ancient era slowly passed. Finally, on this day, this treasure land was born. However, some creatures from the 8 blood changes tried to break in, but they couldn't even break the barriers of the treasure land and couldn't get in at all. Boom! A bone transformation realm broke the barrier of the treasure land, broke into the treasure land, and quickly came out. This treasure land is very oppressive. Ordinary bone transformation realm enters it, and it is difficult to enter it. At least the immemorial genius of the 9 blood transformation realm is qualified to roam in it, but it is estimated that it is also dangerous. The bone transfiguration revealed. Subsequently, a bone transfiguration broke into this treasure. The Lord of the Void is here. Primordial Mountain Lord, Lord of Darkness and other bone transformations also broke into here, all wanting to gain benefits from it. This time, I can let the other 2 vests enter this treasure, and then I can find a reason to let these 2 vests also break through to the bone transformation. In this way, there is no problem of coincidence, and at the same time break through to the bone transformation. In the realm, there will be no doubts about the bone transformation realm. Yi Tian thought to himself. So, the other 2 vests Shuiji Tianzu and Longyan Tianzu came here, and then they all entered this treasured place. Sure enough, the suppression is very strong, even if it is me, the strength that I exert here is not strong. For flowers, Yi Tian muttered, since this place has just been conceived, there are no native blood-changing creatures here, but it does not mean that there are no creatures here. Boom! A terrifying giant beast exuding the ancient evil spirit appeared and attacked directly towards Yi Tian. It's an ancient monster. Yi Tian knew that this kind of archaic ominous creature did not have wisdom. It was said that at the beginning of the birth of every archaic treasure land, some archaic ominous creatures would be born, and their strengths were also uneven. And the grade of this treasure is too high, so even if they are ordinary ancient beasts, they have to be careful to deal with these bone transformation realms when their strength is suppressed. Ancient God and Demon Fist. Yi Tian punched out, directly blowing up this immemorial beast. But this ancient beast did not die, and soon recovered. Yi Tian attacked dozens of times in a row before obliterating this ancient beast. It's really troublesome to kill an immemorial beast when your strength is suppressed. Yi Tian murmured. Subsequently, he began to look for resources in this treasure. This is the primordial chaotic origin flower, a good thing, it will help me refine my boundless bones. Yi Tian directly picked this primordial chaotic origin flower and put it away. In the days that followed, he continued to fight with the ancient beasts to collect various resources. It has to be said that there are a lot of resources here, and none of the immemorial beasts he has encountered so far can threaten him. But this day, trouble is coming, treasures deep. The Lord of Ji Yukong was looking for resources and found a grey crystal. After feeling its breath, he was immediately excited. The primordial origin crystal, there is actually an primordial origin crystal here. The Lord of Ji Yukong knows that if he collects some primordial source crystals, he will definitely be able to break through to the 3 bone transformations. Immediately, he put away the primordial origin crystal and prepared to continue searching for the primordial origin crystal around here. He didn't believe that there was only one primordial origin crystal here. Then, he kept attacking here, smashing and tearing the earth here, looking for the primordial origin crystal hidden deep in the ground. However, at this time, a terrifying ancient beast was awakened. Puff! A claw pierced through his body at a speed that surpassed Lord Ji Yukong's imagination, directly smashing his body into pieces. Chapter 2529 The Taiku Forbidden Territory, the Taiku Geniuses Who Were Pitted. The body of the Lord of Ji Yukong was smashed through, but he healed quickly. He wanted to retreat, but an eagle-like ancient beast appeared and continued to chase and kill it. Boom! The body of the Lord of Ji Yukong was smashed and smashed again. Damn it! After the Lord of Ji Yukong recovered, he cursed angrily. If it were in the outside world, he would definitely be able to slap this ancient vicious creature out, but in this treasure land, he is really not an opponent and has no resistance. Bombed again and again. Finally, the Lord of Ji Yukong couldn't hold it anymore and was killed by this ancient beast. Next, very powerful ancient beasts appeared one after another in this treasure land, causing many bone transformation realm to escape. The weak bone change realm ran out first and did not dare to go in again. They won't dare to enter unless they wait for the Lord of the Ruins to clean up those powerful immemorial beasts. 343. However, boom, the Lord of the Ruins fought with a terrifying ancient beast, and the battle was indistinguishable from each other. Soon, some immemorial beasts came. In desperation, he left. After all, in this treasure land, the number and strength of the ancient beasts are above them, so there is no need to fight recklessly. Yi Tian also encountered trouble, but his strength was not bad, so he avoided danger. Moreover, he is copying his body, even if he falls, it doesn't matter. Therefore, when the other bone transformation realm left, he did not leave, but continued to look for resources here. This day, he also really found a good thing. Prime Source Crystal. Yi Tian has vests in Hongshu Cave, Qishan Mountain, and Junlong Cave, so his knowledge is not superficial, and he naturally knows Taiku Yuanjing. Primordial Source Crystal can be said to be a treasure resource that is very suitable for tempering boundless bones, and it is of great help to him. If there are a few hundred pieces of Primordial Source Crystal, he is sure to raise the cultivation base to the pinnacle of a bone transformation. Good stuff. Yi Tian put away this piece of Primordial Origin Crystal, and then continued to search. See if I can find other Primordial Origin Crystals, but after searching for a long time, I could not find the second Primordial Origin Crystal. It's too dangerous to be in this treasure land. You'll be chased and killed by the ancient beasts at every turn. You have to copy the body of the ancient beasts, and look for resources here as the ancient beasts. It's easier. Yi Tian thought to himself. Then, he copied an ancient beast that he killed, and then looked for resources and ancient source crystals here. In addition, his other two vests, Shuiji Tianzu and Long Yan Tianzu, ran out after a lap around this treasured place. After that, he was going to let these two vests break through to the bone transformation realm, saying that he had found an opportunity in this treasure and other bone transformation realm would not doubt it. Mixed Cave. Shuiji Tianzu began to practice here, and successfully completed the bone transformation of countless bones. After the last boundless bone transformation, his cultivation broke through and entered the bone transformation realm. Boom! The energy of the outside world kept pouring into his body, making his breath stronger and stronger. And this breakthrough naturally alarmed the entire Hongshu Cave. Knowing that Shuiji Tianzu made a breakthrough, the Lord of the Ruins who just returned was celebrating Shuiji Tianzu. And Yi Tian's publicity was the chance he found in that treasure land, and immediately made many immemorial geniuses who were trapped in the realm of the 9 blood transformations eager to enter the treasure land immediately. However, it was rumored that the bone-changed realm had fallen, and they did not dare to intrude indiscriminately, so they could only wait and see. The other side. True Dragon Cave. Yi Tian's other vest, Longyan Tianzu, also began to attack the bone transformation realm, and soon broke through, becoming an ancient-level genius with a bone transformation realm. And Yi Tian's vest is also said to be a resource opportunity found in that treasure land. This time, the immemorial geniuses were thoroughly stimulated, and they couldn't bear it any longer. Then, they broke into the treasure land. As a result, the ancient geniuses fell one by one and were killed by the ancient monsters. The ancient genius of the Dark Sea, Haifeng Tianzu, wanted to go in, but Yi Tian stopped him, so he didn't let him in. Otherwise, Haifeng Tianzu is estimated to have perished. Quick, the news spread that the anti-level genius who entered is very lucky. 3. Lord of Endless, thank you for stopping me, otherwise I'm afraid I might fall. Haifeng Tianzu thanked. It's nothing, in short, don't easily enter that treasure land. It is said that even the Lord of Ji Yukong and several other bone transformation realms have fallen, it is not a good place. Yi Tian said. Strictly speaking, those ancient geniuses who fell were killed by him. There are indeed many precious resources in that treasure land, even the primordial origin crystal. However, there is no way to survive without enough strength. The ancient genius of the mere 9 blood transformations dares to enter there, isn't this courting death? His 2 vests just went in for a while and didn't do anything. These immemorial geniuses still can't hold their breath, otherwise they won't be tricked. Yi Tian secretly said. This day, a bone transfiguration existence in the seam of the territorial sea named this treasured place and named it the primordial forbidden territory. In a word, the major top overlord level forces do not recommend the immemorial genius of the 9 blood transformation realm to enter, and even the ordinary bone transformation realm dare not enter, it is indeed too dangerous. Dark Sea. Yi Tian chatted with the Lord of Darkness. Lord of Endless, this time in the primordial forbidden realm, 4 bone transformations have fallen, and that guy, Lord of Ji Yupeng, has all fallen. The Lord of Darkness said with emotion. The strength of the Lord of Ji Yupeng is no less than that of him. He is a world-breaking genius who has undergone a second bone transformation, and he has only joined the Feather League. As a result, he fell in the primordial forbidden territory. The primordial Peng clan has a lot to live for now. The Lord of Darkness said again. Yeah, the primordial Peng clan mainly relies on the Lord of the Ancient Peng, and now that the Lord of the Ancient Peng has fallen, where does the primordial Peng clan 5.9 still have a place in the Feather League? I heard that many bone transformations have captured the primordial Peng clan. The amount, Yi Tian also said. Anyway, I don't dare to enter the primordial forbidden territory in a short period of time. The Lord of Darkness shook his head and said, I heard that primordial origin crystal appeared in the primordial forbidden territory. That's a good thing, but I can only be envious. Now. The Lord of the Void has always been in the primordial forbidden realm. Yi Tian said, well, I heard that I have been in the primordial forbidden territory, and with the strength of the Master of the Void and the ability to save life, I can get along well, maybe I can find a lot of primordial source crystals. Those treasures also have some effect on him, and he naturally also I want to collect some. The Lord of Darkness said. When Yi Tian was chatting with the Lord of Darkness, his other immemorial vicious creature copy body was looking for the immemorial source crystal, and he soon gained something. Chapter 2530 Collecting the Ancient Source Crystal, Secondary Bone Transformation. Found another primordial origin crystal. Yi Tian collected this ancient source crystal. In this immemorial forbidden area, he searched for resources as an immemorial ominous creature, and encountered very little trouble. Although the ancient beasts will kill each other, the situation is better, as long as they want to escape, they will hardly chase them. But those bone transformation realm beings are all outsiders. Once they enter here, they will naturally be targeted by the primordial forbidden domain, and they will also be targeted by the primordial ominous object, and they instinctively want to kill the bone transformation realm existence. The years to come, Yi Tian used the cloned body of the immemorial monster to constantly search for the ancient source crystal. After finding the ancient source crystal, he let the cloned body take it out of the immemorial forbidden area. Wanlong territorial waters. Yi Tian took out the primordial origin crystals he had collected for cultivation. Try the effect of primordial origin crystal. Yi Tian swallowed a primordial origin crystal, refining the energy of the primordial origin crystal to temper his boundless bones. The 365 immeasurable bones in his body have already completed a bone transformation, and now he is going to temper it again, and strive to make each immeasurable bone undergo a second bone transformation. Only when countless bones in the whole body have completed the second bone transformation, can they break through to the second bone transformation. Before, he had practiced for a long time, and he had not completed the second bone transformation even for an immeasurable bone. He began to continuously temper one of the immeasurable bones with the ancient source crystal, and this immeasurable bone continued to become stronger under the tempering of the immemorial source crystal. Years passed, and after a period of time, this immeasurable bone finally completed the secondary bone transformation, and a primordial origin crystal had not been used up. With less than one primordial source crystal, a boundless bone will be tempered to the second bone transformation, but if you want to complete the secondary bone transformation of all 365 boundless bones, you will definitely need more boundless bones. Because the last few countless bones want to complete the secondary bone transformation, it must be very difficult. Yi Tian thought to himself. Therefore, collecting more primordial source crystals can raise his cultivation to the second bone transformation. During his refining of the primordial origin crystal, he found some primordial origin crystal. There are still quite a few primordial source crystals bred in the primordial forbidden territory, but it is more difficult to find. But as long as you take the time, you can still find it. In the following years, the primordial forbidden region was more chaotic. One by one primordial ominous things were born, resulting in more and more primordial ominous things in the primordial forbidden territory, and they began to fight and kill constantly. This is also a process that every Taiku treasure must go through, and many bone transformations are also very clear. At this time, even the Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Void didn't dare to stay in the primordial forbidden territory, and ran out one by one. Other bone transformation realm existences naturally came out of the primordial forbidden territory, and they waited for the chaos in the primordial forbidden territory to end before entering the primordial forbidden territory. And this time, it seems that he is the only one who is still here in the entire immemorial forbidden area. Of course, he is just copying the body movements of the ancient beasts, but he is also surrounded and killed by the top immemorial beasts at every turn, so he will copy another top immemorial beast. In this way, Yi Tian can still find the primordial source crystal from time to time. As the years passed, Yi Tian's countless bones completed the second bone transformation, and his strength was gradually increasing. However, as long as it does not break through to the second bone transformation, the overall strength increase will not be obvious. Before you know it, a long time has passed. 360 immeasurable bones have completed the second bone transition. At this time, Yi Tian had already used up 300 primordial free source crystals. And he still has more than 1,000 primordial origin crystals on his body, all of which he has slowly found over the years. With so many primordial source crystals, it must have steadily completed the secondary bone transformation of my last 5 immeasurable bones. Yi Tian thought to himself. If he can't complete the second bone transformation like this, he believes that other people will definitely not be able to complete it. I saw that he took out the primordial origin crystals and refined them one by one, and after refining more than 30 primordial origin crystals, he completed the secondary bone transformation of one of the immeasurable bones. Then, he continued to refine the primordial origin crystal in this way. In this way, one of his countless bones completed the second bone transformation. There's only one last infinite bone left. Yi Tian was very excited. If this immeasurable bone also completes the second bone transformation, he can break through to the second bone transformation. But as the primordial source crystals were consumed, he found that the last point could not be tempered no matter what. In other words, this limitless bone has been tempered to the last point, and it has reached the extreme bottleneck. Yi Tian was enlightened. He is now tempered to the pinnacle of a bone transformation, and he has encountered the last bottleneck, which is normal. He also knew that there was this bottleneck, so he was not surprised. It is very difficult to break the bottleneck by practicing with primordial source crystal temporarily. Yi Tian decided to use the old method, that is, fighting to break the bottleneck. At present, the place suitable for him to fight is naturally the primordial forbidden territory. Primordial forbidden area. Yi Tian's true copy body came here, and as soon as he entered, he was attacked by an immemorial beast. Soon after, his duplicate body was killed. But, after that, he copied his real body and copied his body again, and fought and killed the ancient beasts here again. Fighting and killing again and again, falling again and again. But Yi Tian did not give up at all, and only this way could let him break the shackles as soon as possible. Years passed, and before you knew it, the number of archaic ominous creatures in the primordial forbidden territory decreased a lot, and they all fell in the constant fighting. And the energy of these fallen primordial ferocious creatures feeds back the primordial forbidden territory, which will make the primordial forbidden territory produce more resources. After a long period of time, the immemorial beasts may all be killed or fall, and then some immemorial races will be born. This is the case with the ancient treasures at the seams of the territorial sea, and this is also the process that the ancient treasures have to go through. And the primordial forbidden territory, the primordial treasure land, is very powerful. If it really gave birth to the primordial race, it would definitely not be weak. This day, when Yi Tian was fighting the ancient beast, he suddenly felt that the last shackle was about to be broken. Kill. Yi Tian fell into the madness of fighting, and used the madness of the battle to tear the last shackle's bottleneck. Click. The shackles in the dark seemed to be torn apart at the moment when the duplicate body fell. One long territorial waters. Yi Tian began to attack the second bone transformation realm, and he took out the primordial source crystals to practice. Click. The bottleneck is really broken. The last bit of immeasurable bone was tempered little by little. Finally, the last immeasurable bone completed the secondary bone transformation. Chapter 2531 Changes in the Primordial Forbidden Territory. Boom! Yi Tian's body began to transform, from a bone transformation realm to a second bone transformation realm, and his strength was rapidly improving. After a long time, Yi Tian's cultivation has officially entered the second bone transformation. Breaking through the cultivation base, the strength is much stronger than in the past. Yi Tian said excitedly, with his current strength, he is already strong enough to crush the ordinary 4-time bone transformation realm heavenly ancestor, and is stronger than many bone transformation realm breaking geniuses. The most powerful one in Qishan is the Lord of the Giant Bones, and he should not be my opponent now. Yi Tian thought to himself. Of course, it is impossible for him to upgrade the vest of the Lord of Bloodfish to the second bone transformation realm, so he would have to consume a large amount of primordial origin crystal. After all, the vest of the Lord of Bloodfish is not the real body, and there is no way to replicate the vest of the second bone transformation. It can only be practiced step by step, which is a waste of resources. Therefore, for the time being, he will not improve the cultivation of the Bloodfish Lord's vest, unless he really has no shortage of primordial source crystals in the future, and the number is unimaginable, then he will do so. Subsequently, Yi Tian copied all the other cloned bodies except the 3 vests, and they all turned into the second bone transformation. Dark Sea. When the Lord of Darkness saw Yi Tian and found that Yi Tian had broken through to the second bone transformation, he was immediately dumbfounded. Lord of the Endless, you have broken through to the second bone transformation. The Lord of Darkness is a little unbelievable, how difficult it is to change from a bone transition to a second bone transition. Even if there are sufficient resources, it may take tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of primordial era years to complete the breakthrough. How long has it been since then, the Infinity Lord broke through? How is this done? Fortunately, I found a lot of primordial source crystals in the primordial forbidden region, so I broke through. Yi Tian said, this isn't a lie, it's a real fact. Therefore, he did not count as lying. It's just that he naturally wouldn't say how to find the primordial source crystal. Find a bunch of primordial source crystals in the primordial forbidden region. The Lord of Darkness didn't know what to say, he could only say that Yi Tian's luck was too good. He had also been to the primordial forbidden region before, and he had not even found a single primordial origin crystal. Moreover, the primordial forbidden territory is still so dangerous, it is not a small amount to find the primordial source crystal needed for the Infinity Lord to break through. However, he could only be envious. If he were asked to go to the primordial forbidden region to find the primordial source crystal, he would not dare to go, nor did he think he had such luck. Lord of Darkness, I am going to arrange some of my clan to experience the forces under the Dark Sea, it should be no problem. Yi Tian suggested. Of course, you can call the shots yourself, you are the most powerful bone transformation realm in the Dark Sea at present, where do you need to ask my opinion? The Lord of Darkness said. Lord of Darkness, after all, the Dark Sea was established by you. I only joined it halfway. Naturally, I have to ask for your opinion. Yi Tian said quickly, it's okay, you can arrange whatever you want. The Lord of Darkness. Subsequently, Yi Tian arranged a group of human races to enter some forces under the Dark Sea. As for joining the Dark Sea, those bloody human races are still weaker. Therefore, it is enough to experience the forces under the Dark Sea. Although the human race is not weak now, it only occupies the Wanlong Territorial Sea and the Taishuan Sea, and its strength in other places is extremely weak, so it still needs to use the power of the Dark Sea to sharpen itself. He can't take care of every human cultivator, and he doesn't have that energy. In the days that followed, Yi Tian arranged for the human race to join the forces under the Dark Sea, and he didn't care after that. Anyway, he arranged for a few Dark Sea practitioners to take care of them. Primordial Forbidden Area. One immemorial beast has fallen one after another, and the number of immemorial beasts here is getting smaller and smaller, but the remaining immemorial beasts are extremely powerful and they have all become the overlords of the immemorial Forbidden Area. It won't be long before the Lord of the Ruins, the Lord of the Void, and the others will definitely enter the primordial forbidden territory. I'll try to collect as many resources as possible. Yi Tian thought to himself. However, the resources of the primordial forbidden region are constantly being nurtured, so it is impossible for him to collect all the resources. Even if they are all collected now, new resources will emerge after a period of time. However, he collects as many resources as possible, such as primordial source crystal, which is a good thing. Yi Tian is now in the second bone transformation, but the primordial source crystal can still make his boundless bones undergo 3 bone transformations. Of course, every immeasurable bone would have to consume a lot of primordial origin crystals to complete the 3 bone transformations. Therefore, the number of primordial source crystals that he needs to hit the 3 bone transformation realms is a huge number. How many bones can be made to complete the 3 bone transformations? As many as you can. In the following years, Yi Tian kept collecting the primordial source crystals in the primordial forbidden domain. Gradually, the primordial source crystal became more difficult to find. It will take a long time to find enough primordial source crystals in the primordial forbidden region, and it will take a long time to wait for the primordial source crystals to grow little by little. Yi Tian murmured. In short, he knew that it was unrealistic for him to rely on the primordial forbidden realm to quickly upgrade to the 3 bone transformation realm. This day, the Lord of the Ruins, the Lord of the Void, and the others have once again entered the primordial forbidden realm. Now that the number of primordial vicious creatures has decreased a lot, they have also begun to wander in the forbidden realm. And, the other bone transformations are also united one by one to fight against those ancient beasts. However, many primordial source crystals were taken away by Yi Tian, and they could only wait for new primordial source crystals to be bred, or to find the primordial source crystal that Yi Tian had missed. Therefore, their harvest is naturally not much. But for these bone transformations, okay, it's good to have a little gain. After all, their cultivation years are based on 10,000 primordial era, and naturally they are not in a hurry to break through quickly. Each primordial era gets a little resource, and after hundreds of thousands of primordial era, they can break through to the next bone transformation realm, and they are very satisfied. Only Yi Tian couldn't bear such a slow cultivation method, so he was eager to find a breakthrough in resources. Primordial Forbidden Area. The Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of Hollows joined forces to kill a top-notch immemorial beast and allocated the resources occupied by this immemorial beast. After that, the two of them continued to join forces, and they gained a lot and accumulated more and more resources. Gradually, an ancient era passed by. At this time, there were very few archaic beasts in the primordial forbidden domain, and a brand new primordial race was born. And at this time, the immemorial forbidden area's suppression of the external bone transformation has been reduced a lot. Chapter 2532 Another immemorial golden tree, top immemorial technique. The suppression of the primordial forbidden territory has become smaller, coupled with the near extinction of the primordial ominous object, which has led to many primordial level geniuses who have entered the primordial forbidden territory. However, at this time, it is a little difficult to gain something. At this moment, Yi Tian has not searched for resources in the primordial forbidden domain. If he copied the primordial ominous object at this time, he would be killed by those bone transformation realm anyway. Therefore, he gave up the primordial forbidden territory. Anyway, for him, there is no way to obtain a lot of resources in the primordial forbidden domain. The territorial sea boundary seam has been upgraded, there should be more than one ancient treasure land like this, and it will gradually appear in the future and there will be no shortage of opportunities. Yi Tian thought to himself. This day, in the territorial sea boundary seam of the ancient ruins, a golden light illuminated the entire ancient ruins, spreading and extending to the endless territory. This kind of vision immediately attracted a lot of blood changes, and even alarmed the existence of bone changes. Yi Tian also came here for the first time after getting the news. What happened? The area where the golden light shines is too large, it must be an unimaginable treasure. Even if treasures are born, it's not something we can compete for. It must be those bone transformation realms that are eligible to compete. 1. Let's just watch the excitement, don't get too close, or be careful to die. A bit of blood change is discussed here. 343 inches. What the hell is this? Yi Tian saw the Lord of Darkness and asked curiously. The Lord of Darkness looked at the golden light that stretched across the huge area, and had a guess in his mind. It's a bit like the picture of the primordial golden tree being born. The Lord of Darkness guessed. In the primordial period, the primordial golden tree was conceived, and it looked like this, but the scale was not so large. Could it be the second ancient golden tree? Yi Tian guessed. Can this give birth to a second primeval golden tree? The Lord of Darkness was shocked. I don't know, I'm just guessing. Yi Tian can't guarantee that this is a vision bred by the ancient golden tree. Shish, more and more bone changes are coming. The Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Void also came one by one. Likewise, Yi Tian's 3 vests also came. The bone transformation realm did not break into the depths of the ancient ruins, but quietly waited for the end of the vision. After all, no one dared to guarantee that there was no danger, and there was no need to rush in. Moreover, if the vision did not end, the treasures that were conceived would definitely not be fully conceived, and it would be of little value to snatch them. As time passed, the golden light became more and more dim. Gradually, an image of an ancient golden tree (CJFJ) was projected. It's really an ancient golden tree. A group of bone transformations were shocked. The ancient golden tree in the seam of the territorial sea was destroyed in the ancient times, and now another ancient golden tree has been bred. This ancient golden tree is much larger than the ancient golden tree of the ancient times. The Lord of the Void said, "Before the primordial era, there was no primordial golden tree, and there was no primordial technique. Therefore, the master of Hollow Void did not become an primordial level genius, but was only a world-breaking genius from beginning to end. Later, when he learned about the ancient technique, he was already in the state of bone transformation. Because of this, the top group of bone transformation realm in the territorial sea boundary seam is not an ancient genius. After a period of time, the ancient golden tree was completely conceived. At this moment, the breath of the ancient golden tree permeates out. Its power is much stronger than the ancient golden tree of the ancient times. This ancient golden tree is of great value. The ancient root marrow of its root system must be very valuable. Even the ancient golden juice bred inside the ancient golden tree will be of great value." The Lord of Darkness murmured. Just then, the Lord of the Void and the Lord of the Ruins took action to snatch this ancient golden tree. Boom! Their attack fell on the ancient golden tree, and the ancient golden tree was torn apart immediately. Click! The ancient golden tree was constantly cracking, and was smashed into pieces by their attacks, and they also interfered with each other. Although most of the ancient golden tree parts were robbed by the Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Void, there were still pieces that flew out and were robbed by other bone transformation realms. Yi Tian and the three vests all snatch it away. "This ancient golden leaf belongs to me." Yi Tian grabbed an ancient golden leaf. But most of the bone transformation realms are not interested in the ancient golden leaf. Maybe they feel that their strength is a lot of ancient techniques, and they do not need the ancient golden leaf. They are more keen to snatch other parts of the ancient golden tree. Even if it is of no use to themselves, it is not bad to cultivate more strong people. Moreover, for such a huge size, ancient gold is worth the bone. After some fighting and snatching away, one bone transmutation boundary left, for fear that other bone transfiguration boundaries would snatch their treasures. Yi Tian also robbed some, chose to leave, and returned to Wanlong's territorial waters. The three vests also grabbed a point and then left. Gradually, this area returned to calm, but it has been smashed into countless pieces by many bone transformations, and the space keeps shattering, making it difficult to recover. Snatched 6 pieces of ancient gold leaves, some ancient gold juice and some ancient roots. It's not bad. Yi Tian muttered. These ancient golden juice and ancient root marrow are completely different from the ancient golden juice and ancient root marrow that he had in the past. The energy contained in them is many times stronger, and the energy is more advanced. Subsequently, he took out a little primordial golden juice and primordial root marrow and tested it, and it was very effective for the 8 blood transitions and the 9 blood transitions, and it was easy to create an ordinary 9 blood transitions. It is also very helpful to the immemorial genius, and he directly gave some to his son. Of course, it is also helpful for bone transformation, but the help is not too great, much worse than the primordial root marrow. However, those bone transformation realms must be very satisfied with these ancient roots and marrow, and they will use these ancient roots to temper boundless bones. This is ancient gold leaf. Yi Tian didn't pay attention to them at first, but after careful comprehension, he was suddenly shocked. As expected of the most valuable ancient golden leaves of the ancient golden tree, I know that these ancient golden leaves are not simple. Yi Tian was very excited. What was recorded above was indeed an ancient technique, but it was not an ordinary immemorial technique. What he practiced in the past were ordinary ancient techniques, but now it is recorded on top ancient techniques. In addition, the rank of the top immemorial technique is much higher than that of the ordinary immemorial technique. In fact, it has already crossed the level. There is no way to practice ordinary ancient techniques in bone transformation. I wonder if I can practice these top ancient techniques. Yi Tian muttered. He comprehended for a period of time, and soon realized it. The bone transformation realm can indeed cultivate the top ancient techniques, and this top ancient technique will also affect the bones. If there is no bone transformation realm, neither the flesh nor the bones can carry the power of the ancient techniques. Therefore, the peak primordial technique is the primordial technique prepared for bone transformation. However, it is more than 10 times more difficult for a non-prime mortal level genius to cultivate a top-level immemorial technique than for an immemorial level genius to cultivate a top-level immemorial technique, and if the cultivation fails, the foundation will be severely damaged and it will increase even more. Chapter 2533 The Ancient Magic Spear, the first top ancient technique. Maybe there will really be bone transformation realm trying to cultivate this top ancient technique. 1. Yi Tian thought to himself. Of course, there are not necessarily those who can really practice this kind of top immemorial technique in ordinary bone transformation. Even if there is, it will be the future after a long time. But once it is practiced, it will change from an ordinary bone transformation realm to a bone transformation realm primordial genius, and the strength will be terribly improved. For Yi Tian, if he practiced the top immemorial technique, his strength would also skyrocket. Moreover, relatively speaking, he is an immemorial genius himself, and the probability of practicing top immemorial techniques is higher. Even if the cultivation fails, the damage to the foundation is slightly lighter. The Ancient God and Magic Spear. Prime Eternal True Body Art. 1. The ancient world moves the magic. Yi Tian selected these 3 top-level ancient techniques first, and if he had mastered these 3 top-level ancient techniques, he would then go to practice other ancient techniques. The first one to practice the primordial god's demon spear. Once it is practiced, the attack power can definitely skyrocket several times, more than that. Yi Tian muttered. At the same time, the top immemorial technique has also spread, and a bit of bone transformation regrets not snatching a few more immemorial gold leaves. The other side, Yi Tian's 3 vests put the acquired top immemorial techniques in their own forces, and everyone can comprehend the top immemorial techniques together. That is to say, Yi Tian has no shortage of top immemorial techniques. For example, the Lord of the Ruins, the immemorial golden leaves he robbed are stored in the ruins cave. And the master of his vest can comprehend these top ancient techniques. Therefore, he does not need to worry about the top ancient techniques. And the bone transformation realm that did not snatch the ancient golden leaf, at this moment wants to obtain a top ancient technique. Therefore, they are all willing to spend a lot of money to buy a top-level ancient technique, and even dream of practicing a top-level ancient technique, so as to become an ancient-level genius in the bone transformation realm. However, they are afraid that they will all be disappointed. Dark Sea. When Yi Tian saw the Lord of Darkness again, he found that the Lord of Darkness was pale and his injuries were not light. Lord of Darkness, what's wrong with you? Yi Tian asked. The Lord of Darkness said helplessly, I obtained a top ancient technique, the Ancient Dark Fist. I originally wanted to practice this ancient technique and become an ancient genius of the bone transformation realm. The result failed and the foundation was serious. Damaged. I knew that failure would be serious, but I didn't expect it to be so serious. My current strength is out of 10, and I am using all kinds of precious resources to nourish my countless bones and flesh, and slowly recover. Fortunately, I failed only once, relying on long years of recuperation, it can still recover. Lord of Darkness, if you're not sure, don't practice top-notch ancient techniques. It's not that easy to practice. You can only practice unless you have acquired a large amount of treasures that can quickly restore damage to your foundation. Yi Tian suggested. I understand. The Lord of Darkness nodded. He is also eager for the skyrocketing strength, this is quite a risk, and he feels that maybe he is lucky, and he can practice it at one time. As a result, he still thinks too much. Lord of the Endless, I advise you not to practice the top ancient techniques. You grow very fast, don't affect the progress of your cultivation because of this. When your cultivation base breaks through to the 3 bone transformation realm and the 4th bone transformation realm, you will not be able to do it at all. There is no need for top ancient techniques, said the Lord of Darkness. I see. Yi Tian nodded. However, he would not reveal his situation to the Lord of Darkness. And the situation like the Lord of Darkness is not the only one, and other bone transformation realms have also been severely damaged, and their foundations have been greatly damaged. As a result, these bone transformation realms hid one by one to repair their injuries and foundations, and would not run out for a long time. Puff. Yi Tian's copy body was cracked all over, but even countless bones were cracked. Soon, the surface wounds recovered, but the internal injuries were difficult to recover, and the foundation was damaged. Cultivation of the primordial god demon spear failed. Yi Tian muttered, this failure has damaged his foundation not too lightly. In exchange, other people are afraid that they will give up completely. However, he didn't care and continued to practice the top ancient technique of the ancient magic spear. After a period of time, the practice of this ancient magic spear failed again. Since Yi Tian did not restore the foundation of this replica body was damaged more seriously, and the injury was even more serious. But he ignored it and continued to practice. Ask for flowers. Failed again and again. Finally on this day, this replica body collapsed. Copy another real body to copy the body. Yi Tian made another copy of his body and practiced the immemorial god demon spear again. That's it. Yi Tian spent many times practicing, but failed again and again. I have practiced so many times and failed, how many times do others have to practice? With the resources to restore the foundation, I am afraid that they will have to practice millions or even millions of primordial era. Yi Tian guessed. Afterwards, he continued to practice, spending a long time practicing hard again and again. Finally on this day, Yi Tian practiced the ancient magic spear. However, the foundation of his replica body has been seriously damaged, so even if he is trained, he will not be able to restore the foundation. Then, he duplicated a duplicate body and practiced the primordial demon spear again, but unfortunately failed again. But he succeeded once, so he grasped the mystery of the ancient magic spear, so after practicing several times, he successfully practiced the top ancient technique of the ancient magic spear. Boom! With the training of the ancient god and magic spear, Yi Tian's body became stronger, and his strength skyrocketed. Territorial sea boundary seam, a remote area. Yi Tian's two replica bodies are here to learn from each other. One uses the ancient magic spear, and the other does not use the ancient magic spear. The two sides fought immediately. Boom! The immemorial god demon spear carried an incomparably terrifying power, and directly defeated another cloned body, and even pierced the other cloned body's defense-type ancient technique, and severely injured it with a single blow. In a short time, another clone body was killed. The immemorial god demon spear is really powerful. After I practice it, my current strength should be between the ordinary 4 bone transformation and 5 bone transformations. Yi Tian estimated. The strength of this level is still far from the Lord of the Void and the Lord of the Ruins, but if you really practice many top ancient techniques and raise your cultivation level to 3 bone transformations, it may be a distance from their level, relatively close. Then start to practice the second top ancient technique, choose the immemorial eternal real body technique. Yi Tian decided to Taoist corpse. Chapter 2534 The Crisis After the Upgrade. Primordial Eternal True Body Technique, a top-level primordial technique, has the effect of forming a strong defense and a certain increase in strength. Once you practice the primordial eternal true body technique, your life-saving ability is very powerful. If Yi Tian has practiced a top ancient technique like the primordial eternal true body technique, even if he encounters a bone transformation realm stronger than him, it will be difficult to break his defense. Just practice the primordial eternal true body technique. Yi Tian is sure. After that, he began to practice continuously. Again, this time is still a failure again and again. After all, it is more difficult to practice the second primordial eternal true body art, but after a period of time, he has successfully practiced the immemorial eternal true body art, which takes a lot less time. This is a certain ancient level ancestral gift that fits me. This is how I practice fast. Yi Tian was surprised. Before, 343, it was so difficult for him to cultivate the primordial demon spear because this top-notch primordial technique did not fit with his primordial ancestral gifts, so there was no auxiliary effect. But the primordial eternal true body technique is the top antiquity technique in the defense category, and he happens to have the primordial level ancestral gift of the defense category, so this has an auxiliary effect. That's right, with an ancient ancestral gift, it will be very easy to cultivate a very suitable ancient technique, and naturally it will also help to cultivate a top ancient technique. Yi Tian thought to himself. However, there are very few top ancient techniques. At the beginning, he counted the number of primal golden leaves, and the top ancient techniques were estimated to be only hundreds, and they were robbed and scattered by everyone. It is estimated that there are more than 50 ancient techniques that he and other vests can come into contact with, and there are not many top ancient techniques that can be contracted with him. After all, there are not many immemorial ancestors on him, so he cannot cover all types. Those geniuses of the bone transformation realm with primordial ancestors will probably also be looking for top ancient techniques that fit their primordial ancestors, but if they want to practice, they have to fail a lot of times before they can practice. It is estimated that he does not dare to practice. Yi Tian thought to himself. Afterwards, he began to practice the third top ancient technique, the ancient world move. This can be regarded as the top ancient technique of speed. And Yi Tian also has a speed class of the ancient ancestral inscriptions, although it may not be a special fit with the ancient world movement technique, but it can also make it much easier for him to practice the ancient world movement. Subsequently, Yi Tian began to practice the ancient world movement technique. The ancient golden blood is not enough. I have to get some. Yi Tian muttered. Cultivation of top ancient techniques also requires ancient golden blood. Originally, he stored a large amount of ancient golden blood, but he couldn't stand him cultivating like this. Therefore, his immemorial golden blood is about to be exhausted. With Yi Tian's current strength status and the ability of the three vests, it is not difficult to collect the ancient golden blood. However, now that there is a top immemorial technique, the value of immemorial golden blood has skyrocketed a lot. Of course, he doesn't care about the cost either. After a period of time, Yi Tian collected a lot of ancient gold blood and continued to practice the ancient world movement technique. After a long time, the ancient world movement technique has also been successfully practiced. As a result, Yi Tian has possessed 3 top ancient techniques, and his strength has skyrocketed. In the years that followed, he also tried his best to search for the top immemorial technique that matched his immemorial ancestry. If he couldn't find it, he would forcibly cultivate the top immemorial technique, just spending more time and resources. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, 10 primeval epochs have passed. For Yi Tian, it has been a long time. More than 80 immeasurable bones have completed 3 bone transformations, and they have practiced more than 20 top ancient techniques. My current strength can easily crush an ordinary 4-time bone transformation peak powerhouse. Yi Tian muttered. During this period of time, he hadn't heard of any bone transformation realm that cultivated the top immemorial technique, and everyone's enthusiasm for the cultivation of this top immemorial technique had faded. Perhaps, he is the only bone transformation realm who has practiced the top ancient techniques. Another time passed. This day, Yi Tian felt the breath of heart palpitations, as if something bad was about to happen. What happened? Yi Tian frowned. Could it be that there is a powerful bone change realm to target him, or to attack and kill him? Boom. His powerful immeasurable will probed around, and his copy talent was also probed, but he didn't notice any problems. And, not only his clone body, but also all clone bodies and those vests, so it's impossible for all clone bodies to be targeted. At this moment, the Lord of Darkness came over. Lord of Endless, you feel the breath of heart palpitations. The Lord of Darkness. Yes, I thought I was the only one who sensed it. Yi Tian said in surprise. Soon, Yi Tian met the Lord of Darkness. Dark Lord, do you know the reason for this? Yi Tian asked. This is the police of the territorial sea boundary seam. The Lord of Darkness explained. The adjacent seam has been upgraded this time, and it is an opportunity, but it will also be accompanied by a crisis. As small as the territorial sea, if it is upgraded, there will be a crisis. Only the strong, you can ignore this crisis. For example, the endless lord of your Wanlong territorial waters, although upgraded, but your own strength is strong, there is no problem. If your strength is insufficient, you will usher in prying or plundering from the outside world. Similarly, the same is true for the boundary seam of the territorial sea. The upgrade of the boundary seam of the territorial sea this time may lead to a major crisis. It may not be a trivial matter to be able to make all bone transformation realm feel the crisis. The Lord of Darkness looked very bad, because his foundation injury had not fully recovered, and he could only exert about 70% of his strength. Therefore, it is indeed not a good 5.9 thing to encounter an upgrade crisis at this time. When the territorial sea boundary seam was upgraded, he also considered this issue, but he also felt that there was not necessarily a big crisis, maybe it was just a small trouble. Besides, the territorial sea boundary seam is now soaring in strength, and it is not afraid of ordinary crises. But now, he was still a little nervous. Don't be careful, he fell into this crisis. Of course, if the crisis is overcome, the territorial sea will definitely usher in a great opportunity. In short, crisis and opportunity coexist, depending on whether you have the strength. Lord of Darkness, if there is danger, remember to send me a message. Yi Tian said. After all, the Dark Sea sheltered him at the beginning, so he would still help the Lord of Darkness. If the Lord of Darkness really faced the danger of death, he would not stand idly by. Single G. Chapter 2535 Primordial Monster Invasion. As time went by, the feeling of heart palpitations became stronger and stronger for each bone change. They all knew very well that the crisis of upgrading was about to come. Mixed Cave. The Lord of the Ruins also opened a meeting, mainly for this upgrade crisis. The Lord of the Ruins does not know what this crisis is, but he tries his best to ensure that the Ruins Cave will survive the crisis this time. Only through the crisis can we usher in the opportunity behind. At the same time, I also want to recall all the human races, otherwise, if they continue to roam the outside world, they will easily fall. At present, the human race is mainly located in the Wanlong Territorial Sea and the Taishuan Sea. Therefore, he only needs to keep these two places. Years go by. This day, the upgrade crisis has finally arrived. Somewhere in the Territorial Sea. Click. A piece collapsed directly, and an unimaginably huge crack appeared. This is the barrier of the boundary seam that directly collapsed and was connected to another place. Then, boom, densely packed terrifying creatures shuttled out from inside. This is just close to the territory of a blood change race. In an instant, this blood change realm race was annihilated by 29, but news also came out. Next, many blood-changing creatures and races in this area were slaughtered one by one, and they could not stop the attacks of these terrifying creatures. They are like madmen, destroying and killing everything they see. Crisis is coming. Yi Tian received the news that countless ancient monsters appeared somewhere in the seam of the Territorial Sea. Strictly speaking, it is the seam of the Territorial Sea that is completely connected with the Primordial Demon Abyss, and the primordial monsters come from the Primordial Demon Abyss. Primordial Demon Abyss is a top boundary gap, with a large number of primordial monsters, and even primordial monsters that exist in bone transformation. In the past, the Primordial Demon Abyss was also opened. However, only the powerhouses of the Territorial Sea boundary have entered the Primordial Demon Abyss, but none of the ancient monsters of the Primordial Demon have entered the Territorial Sea boundary. I don't know how many ancient monsters in Primordial Muyuan, but the number is really too many. The key is that the ancient monsters have no wisdom, and they spend every day in the slaughter, and the ancient devils continue to breed the ancient monsters, resulting in the number of the ancient monsters in the ancient devils has been maintained at the same number. Now, the ancient monsters seem to be pouring into the seam of the Territorial Sea. This is undoubtedly a disaster for the creatures in the seam of the Territorial Sea. Those weak blood change races and ordinary forces are afraid that they can't bear it, so they can only choose to escape. Yi Tian thought to himself. Knowing what the crisis is, many bone change situations are relieved, at least they know where the crisis is. The place bordering the Primordial Demon Abyss, even the Lord of the Ruins did not dare to go there. But the seam of the Territorial Sea is too big, so those ancient monsters poured into the seam of the Territorial Sea and gradually dispersed, and it was much easier to break them one by one. However, some Foss's territories are very close to the ancient monsters, while others are far away. Therefore, those forces that are far away do not worry about anything, and are even unwilling to take care of this matter. As a result, a group of Bone Transformation Realm gathered together to discuss how to deal with the ancient monsters. The forces that are close to the ancient monsters cannot stop the ancient monsters, and other forces can enjoy the success. In this case, the power to deal with the ancient monsters will definitely not be happy. This meeting is to solve that problem. At the beginning of the meeting, the master of the Bone Transformation Realm Haiyang, the supreme overlord level strength of the Ancient Sea Clan, said, "Everyone, my Ancient Sea Clan is too close to the ancient monsters, and it won't take long for those ancient monsters to reach Oen Taiku. The territory of the Sea Clan cannot be stopped by our strength. If you don't send support, I can only leave with the Ancient Sea Clan." "Master Haiyang, if you leave, wouldn't we have to fight?" The Dragon King frowned. "Then I don't care, you can do it." The main road of Haiyang. At this time, the Lord of the Void proposed, "We must unite. After all, this time our opponent is the Primordial Demon Abyss. The primordial demons of the Primordial Demon Abyss are unreasonable and can't communicate. Lord of the Ruins, although you are newly integrated into the Territorial Sea boundary seam, but this time to resist the Primordial Demon Abyss, you have to do your best. After all, half of the Territorial Sea boundary seam territory now belongs to you." The Lord of the Ruins said, "The Lord of the Void, we will naturally contribute. But this time the opponent may be the entire Primordial Demon Abyss, and everyone will do their best, otherwise it is not impossible that the Territorial Sea will be destroyed." Undoubtedly, all Bone Transformation boundaries agreed to work together to deal with the ancient monsters. Therefore, they discussed sending a group of vanguard troops to intercept the ancient monsters. Moreover, these Bone Transformation Realm can also be used, or else the ancient monsters of Bone Transformation Realm will take action. How can those Blood Transformation Realm be able to resist? Yi Tian's human race, as a top overlord level force, naturally also made a contribution. Of course, the human race is still strong now, and its self-contribution is not as good as other main level forces. Support the Taiku Sea Clan first. The Lord of the Void. It is good. The other Bone Transformations agreed. Ha ha ha, then thank you. The Lord of Haiyang said excitedly. After all, if he can't leave the territory, he naturally still doesn't want to leave. Wanlong territorial waters. Yi Tian summoned a group of human races from the blood transformation realm and led them to the territory of the Taiku territorial sea to intercept the Taiku monsters. 343. Of course, this time, some of the human race will surely fall. And he gave a lot of benefits, so there are still many people who are willing to participate in the human race. Even his son, Yi Xingchen, he was going to take it with him. Today, Yi Xingchen is also an immemorial genius who has undergone 9 blood changes, and his combat power is still acceptable. If he really encounters an ancient monster in the bone transformation realm, his copy mark will also become a copy body to block the opponent. Swire Sea Clan territory. Swish, a bone change realm led a large number of blood change realm to come here. Then, they waited for the arrival of the ancient monsters. Finally, the ancient monster came. Go ahead. The Lord of the Void said. Boom, many bone transformation realms have been shot together. Boom, in an instant, the ancient monsters in an area were directly smashed into nothingness. Yi Tian also shot. Every time he made a shot, he could kill a large number of ancient monsters. Even the ancient monsters of the 9 blood transitions were like ants in his hands. As a large number of ancient monsters were killed, it finally caused the existence of bone transformation among the ancient monsters. The real war has begun. Chapter 2536 Lord of Endless, help! Boom, some ancient monsters in the bone transformation realm appeared and directly killed them, the Lord of the Ruins. And Yi Tian was also targeted by a bone transformation realm primordial monster, and the other party killed him directly. Boom, as soon as they fought, Yi Tian estimated the opponent's strength. Ordinary secondary bone transformation, weak chicken. Yi Tian commented, the ancient god and magic spear. Yi Tian pierced through the opponent's body with one blow, directly inflicting heavy damage on the opponent. After another blow, the bone transformation primordial monster was killed by him. But soon, there were 2 more bone transformation realm Taiku monsters besieging Yi Tian. This time, these 2 ancient monsters in the bone transformation realm are stronger, and they are comparable to the existence of the 4 bone transformation realm. Although Yi Tian could crush them, he couldn't kill them in a short time. Moreover, there are a large number of ancient monsters interfering with it, and they will die, just to consume his power. Yi Tian doesn't feel the pressure, but those weak bones in the sea boundary seem are troublesome. No, the existence of a one-time bone transformation realm was directly hit hard, and then surrounded by a group of ancient monsters, but it was unable to defeat these ancient monsters who had 9 blood transformations, and the injury continued to increase. Puff, this bone transformation was attacked by a skull transformation primordial monster and was instantly killed. This is also the first bone transformation realm that has fallen on the seam of the territorial sea. Lord of the Endless, save me. The Lord of Darkness begged for help. At this moment, one arm of the Lord of Darkness has completely disappeared, and he can't recover quickly with the strength of his bone transformation realm. Even if he recovers, it is just an arm without any strength, meaningless. Moreover, he was hit with multiple holes all over his body, and his injuries were very serious. The ancient monsters he encountered were too powerful, and even if he tried his best, he would not be able to defeat them at all. If no one comes to save him, he is afraid that he will perish. He wanted to escape, but the ancient monster wouldn't let him leave at all. Just when he was about to fall, a spear pierced directly through this ancient monster of bone transformation, killing the opponent instantly. Lord of the Endless, W. The Lord of Darkness was excited. The Infinity Lord really came to his rescue. Moreover, the strength of the Endless Lord shocked him, and with a single spear, he instantly killed an immemorial monster that was almost invincible in the 3 bone transformations. The spear just now. Although the Lord of Darkness has not practiced ancient techniques, he also knows that Yi Tian's ancient techniques are not ordinary, and the power contained in them is too terrifying. This is definitely not an ordinary ancient technique. Could it be a top ancient technique? The Lord of Darkness guesses. If it is a top ancient technique, it is not surprising that it has such power. But in such a short period of time, Yi Tian was able to practice top-notch immemorial techniques. This is too enchanting. Anyway, he has not heard of any bone transformation realm who has practiced the top ancient technique. Walk. Yi Tian let the Lord of Darkness leave. In the current state of the Lord of Darkness, he can't fight at all, and continuing to stay here is courting death. Thank you, Lord of Infinity. The Lord of Darkness fled immediately. And Yi Tian covered it up and successfully let the Lord of Darkness leave. At the beginning, The bone transformation realm in the seam of the territorial sea can still be supported, but as more and more ancient monsters' bone transformation realm poured in, they couldn't hold it any longer. In terms of the number of bone transformations, primordial Muon is undoubtedly more. In fact, the Hunhi boundary seam had a lot of bone transformation realm at the beginning, but only a small part of the Hunhi boundary seam was integrated into the territorial sea boundary seam, and the number of bone transformation realm in the territorial sea seam itself was not much, so it couldn't compete with the primordial demon abyss. Bone transfiguration. The ancient monsters are not very intelligent, there is no need to fight them. The Lord of the Ruins said. Then leave first. The Lord of the Void also agreed. If there is a big decisive battle here, I am afraid that I will have to fight all the bones. Lord Haiyang, you should escape too. Before leaving, the Lord of the Void reminded. The Lord of Haiyang was extremely angry, he would have transferred his clan first if he knew he was going to escape. But now that he has escaped temporarily, how can he transfer? The speed of those Blood Change Realm clansmen is very slow, and they can't escape at all. The human race's Blood Change Realm intercepted the ancient monsters on the edge of the battlefield, and Yi Tian rushed here and took all these human races away with a wave of his hand. He also escaped. After all, other bone transformation realms are ready to give up here, so naturally he will not stay. Otherwise, it doesn't matter if his duplicate body falls, these blood changes of the human race can't be preserved. The Lord of Haiyang naturally escaped, but he could only take part of the core clan with him. After all, the territory of the Primordial Sea clan is too large, and the clansmen are scattered everywhere, and he has no time to transfer them all away, so he can only give up. Before long, the territory of the Taiku Sea clan was occupied by Taiku monsters. Afterwards, the ancient monsters divided into teams and occupied the territory. However, after all, the ancient monsters have low intelligence, and a bone transformation realm in the territorial sea has thought of various strategies to deal with the ancient monsters, such as locking the position of a bone transformation realm Taigu monster, and several top bone transformation realm attack. Kill the opponent directly. Certainly. There are also top overlord level forces who are unlucky and are targeted by the ancient monsters, resulting in the direct attack of the headquarters. But as time goes by, the ancient monsters will definitely still be defeated. However, one incident on this day changed many practitioners. Takizawa Territorial Waters. This is also a not-so-small territorial sea, and there are many practitioners living in it. Although this territorial sea has not been born with bone transformation, and there are not many blood transformations, but the most powerful blood transformation has reached 8 blood transformations, and it is a world-breaking genius, so there is also a certain gap in the territorial sea. Little fame. On this day, a group of ancient monsters came here. The practitioners in Longzi's territorial waters hid in the territorial waters and shivered. They couldn't rush out to fight these ancient monsters because, well, good they knew they couldn't kill them. Chenhai Tianzu, the 8-time blood transfiguration realm-breaking genius in Longzi's territorial waters, was also very nervous at this time. If these ancient monsters rush in, their strength will be suppressed, and we are not without hope. He thought so. Sudden, an immemorial monster with an incomparably huge size and an extremely ugly appearance lay on Longzi's territorial waters, opened its huge mouth, and continuously devoured Longzi's territorial waters. The number of such ancient monsters is still quite large, there are about hundreds of them. At this time, the origin of Longzi's territorial waters was bit by bit swallowed by these special ancient monsters. The origin of Longzi's territorial waters became weaker and weaker, and the territorial water barriers were constantly cracking. Seeing this scene, Chenhai Tianzu's expression changed drastically. In desperation, he could only ask for help from other forces, and explained the situation here. After all, the territorial sea has always been a strong fortress for practitioners, but now this fortress can be easily broken open. This is definitely a disaster for practitioners. Chapter 2537 Sneak into the Primordial Demon Abyss. Soon, the situation in Longzi's territorial waters spread. What? There are ancient monsters that can easily swallow the origin of the territorial waters and destroy the territorial waters. Yi Tian was shocked. You must know that even if it is the Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Void, it is very difficult for them to destroy a territorial sea. If you have territorial waters as your homeland and suppress foreign enemies, even if your strength is weaker, you can defeat the enemy. But now, the territorial waters are easy to be swallowed and destroyed, so the only advantage of practitioners is gone. Moreover, cultivators are not like the blood transformation realm race. Most cultivators are very weak, and they can't even enter the seam of the territorial sea. If they enter the seam of the territorial sea, they will die directly. There are almost countless weak and small practitioners. If they lose the protection of the territorial sea, they will not be able to survive directly. For example, Wanlong territorial waters. If there is no Wanlong territorial waters, then more than 99% of the human race will die. Yi Tian immediately contacted other bone transformations, such as the Lord of Darkness. Soon, he got an affirmative answer. Long's territorial waters. Yi Tian came here quickly. At this time he saw the almost broken Long's territorial waters and some ancient monsters. So, he shot and killed these ancient monsters. At this time, there were also some other 9 blood transitions to support, and soon the ancient monsters here were almost killed. Wow, Yi Tian caught an ancient monster that could devour the origin of the territorial sea. According to the exploration of the duplication talent, he knew the name of this ancient monster, the blood goo spider. The origin of the blood goo spider's ability to devour the territorial sea is not a talent, but the instinct of this ancient monster itself, which can also be said to be a racial ability. For the blood goo spider, the origin of the sea boundary seam is a kind of delicious food, which other ancient monsters can't eat, but they can eat it. Click. Yi Tian pinched the blood goo spider to death casually. Next, we have to send a cloned body to patrol Wanlong's territorial waters for a long time. Don't be in retreat. A group of blood goo spiders will eat the origin of Wanlong's territorial waters, but even if Wanlong's territorial waters do not collapse, they must be downgraded. Yi Tian muttered. He took another look at Longzi's territorial waters. Today, this territorial sea is already half abandoned. Although it has not collapsed, it will not exist for too long. Unless they are willing to spend a huge price to repair Long's territorial waters, it is hard to say whether they can afford this price. Besides, with the invasion of the ancient monsters, all the major forces are in jeopardy, and the Long's territorial waters cannot be found or traded for the resources to restore the Long's territorial waters. Longzi's territorial waters won't last long, and they will collapse. Yi Tian thought to himself. He can help Longzi's territorial waters, but he has nothing to do with Longzi's territorial waters. Even if he helps them, he will not be grateful to him. Swish. Yi Tian left quickly. In the following days, Yi Tian was mainly patrolling and defending Wanlong's territorial waters in Taishuan Sea. This day, a group of ancient monsters approached Wanlong's territorial waters, but before they approached Wanlong's territorial waters, Yi Tian immediately shot and killed them all. Certainly, other territorial waters were not so lucky. During this period of time, news of the territorial waters being shattered continued to come. At this time, Yi Tian couldn't help but sigh. The upgrade of the territorial sea boundary seam is really not a chance for the weak forces, but a disaster. Perhaps I can copy an ancient monster that has undergone bone transformation twice, and then sneak into the ancient magic abyss. Yi Tian had this idea. The bone transformation realm in the territorial sea has almost never been to the ancient abyss, because it is afraid to go. However, once the primordial abyss is completely defeated, those bone transformation realms will definitely enter the primordial demon abyss to harvest resources. Maybe Taigu Miyuan has a lot of resources that are helpful to practitioners. Yi Tian secretly said. So, he again CJFJ made a bone transformation primordial monster that he had killed before. Soon, the immemorial monster copied the body and copied it. Swish. Yi Tian went to the primordial demon abyss as a bone transformation primordial demon. Along the way, when other ancient monsters saw Yi Tian, they would not attack at all, they would only tremble and be extremely respectful. Even if they are not high, they will surrender to powerful ancient monsters. And Yi Tian kept traveling, and finally came to the entrance of primordial demon abyss. There are still ancient monsters pouring in here, and Yi Tian shuttled in directly. Primordial demon abyss. Today, the number of ancient monsters here is much rarer, because many ancient monsters have poured into the seam of the territorial sea. He also knew why so many ancient monsters left his body and went to the seam of the territorial sea. Because of attraction. Now, he can feel the attraction from the seam of the territorial sea, and it seems that there are good things there. This is an upgrade crisis, forcibly attracting ancient monsters into the territorial sea. Yi Tian muttered. The number of ancient monsters in primordial Miyuan is scarce, which is a good thing for him. It is easier for him to find resources, and he may not even encounter the ancient monsters of bone transformation, so he can easily take away the resources here. The wisdom of the ancient monsters is not high, but the resources that help them improve are estimated to be eaten by them, but the resources that are useless to them must still remain, and they will not collect them. Soon, Yi Tian found a resource that was helpful to him, the primordial chaotic origin stone. This kind of ancient chaotic source stone is very helpful to practitioners, and can extract the ancient chaotic source liquid from it. This ancient chaotic source liquid helps the bone transformation to quench the boundless bones, so that the boundless bones can complete the bone transformation. As for the primordial monsters, these primordial chaotic origin stones are just ordinary stones. Posted. Yi Tian collected these primordial chaotic origin stones one by one. Sure enough, after the upgrade crisis, there is an opportunity. If the bone transformation realm in the territorial sea and boundary seam solves this crisis, after entering the primordial demon abyss, you will definitely be able to see these primordial chaotic origin stones. I will definitely not be able to snatch much by then. But now, these primordial chaotic origin stones belong to me. Soon, these ancient chaotic origin stones were all collected by him. Go and look elsewhere, Yi Tian said excitedly. Soon, he found other resources, and then he also collected these resources. I have to say, there are really a lot of resources here. After collecting some resources, he plans to send these resources out, and then come in to find resources at that time. In this case, even if this ancient monster's copy body falls, at least the resources will not be lost. Soon, his immemorial monster clone body came out of the ancient demon abyss, and then merged with his own real body clone. Chapter 2538 Scrape the Ancient Demon Abyss. Resources are here. Yi Tian took the resources from the cloned body of the ancient monster and left quickly. As for the cloned body of the ancient monster, it will naturally continue to enter the ancient magic abyss to collect resources. Wanlong territorial waters. After Yi Tian came back, he began to extract the primordial chaotic source liquid from the primordial chaotic source stone. With his current cultivation strength, it is not too slow to extract the primordial chaotic origin liquid. After a while, it was true that the primordial chaotic origin liquid was extracted by Yi Tian, some. Then, he used the primordial chaotic origin liquid to temper his boundless bones. The effect is quite good. Yi Tian was pleasantly surprised. If there is enough primordial chaotic origin liquid, it will not be difficult for him to improve his cultivation to the second bone transformation realm. In the primordial demon abyss, Yi Tian found quite a few primordial chaotic origin stones, and also found several resources that were much more valuable than the primordial chaotic origin stones, but in smaller quantities. This day, he found something good again. I'm going, so many immemorial blood hell grass. After Yi Tian saw it, he was very surprised. Although this thing is not used for tempering boundless bones, it is a treasure that many strong people dream of. For example, if you fail to practice ancient techniques and your physical foundation is damaged, you can refine the ancient blood hell grass to repair the foundation. With so many primordial blood prison grass, it is very easy to create several primordial geniuses, and there is even hope to help a primordial genius level bone transformation powerhouse to practice a top primal art. Received. Yi Tian collected all these ancient blood prison grasses. The depths of the primordial demon abyss. Yi Tian came here and saw the bloody ocean. Then, he entered the depths of the blood-colored ocean to see if there were any resources here. Soon, he saw huge blood-colored crystals in this blood-colored ocean, which contained terrifying energy, but he didn't know the specific name. There should be no such resources in the seam of the territorial sea. Yi Tian guessed. However, there are many such blood-colored crystals, and their value is definitely not small. So, he collected all these blood-colored crystals. Time passed slowly. Yi Tian kept collecting resources in this blood-colored ocean, and it took a long time to collect the blood-colored crystals at the bottom of this blood-colored lake. Send this batch of resources out, Yi Tian decided. Soon, Yi Tian's immemorial monster clone met with the real clone, and handed over the resources to the real clone. Afterwards, the immemorial monster copied its body and continued to return to the immemorial demon abyss to find resources. After he returned to Wanlong's territorial waters, he began to test the effect of the blood-colored crystals. He first tried refining it himself, but found that it didn't help him much. It may be a resource for blood change, Yi Tian guessed. So, he copied some blood-changing bodies to test the effect of the blood-colored crystals. Soon, the results came out. It can quench the boundless blood of blood transformation, and make boundless blood change, and the effect is very good. Yi Tian was surprised. With so many blood-colored crystals, the human race will easily give birth to a large number of 9 blood changes. Let's name it, let's call it primordial blood crystal. Subsequently, Yi Tian took out some ancient blood crystals and used them for his descendants first. His son Yi Xingchen also had many heirs, and his heirs had many heirs, so many geniuses were born in his lineage, and some of them were promoted to the blood change state. Therefore, he is going to take out some ancient blood crystals and let them upgrade to the 9 blood changes first. With enough ancient blood crystals, the human race has indeed given birth to one after another with 9 blood changes. If this news spreads out, the other top hegemonic forces will be stunned. Another bone change realm has fallen. Yi Tian muttered. This time, it was a bone transformation realm from Qishan, the Lord of Highs. The Lord of He's went to clean up an ancient monster, but he encountered a powerful bone-transforming ancient monster on the way, and was killed by the opponent. Certainly, in these years, many ancient monsters in the bone transformation realm were killed by the bone transformation realm at the seam of the territorial sea. Today, there are only a few of the more powerful bone transformation primordial monsters still alive, and a large number of primordial monsters have not been cleaned up. However, judging from the situation, it is only a matter of time before the territorial sea boundary seam wins. This day, the Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Void, together with several other top bone transformations, found an opportunity to trap an ancient monster comparable to the 6 bone transformations in a formation, and it took a while to trap it. Killed. Ask for flowers. However, the opponent's counterattack also caused the 2 bone transformation realm to be seriously injured, and both the Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Void were slightly injured. It seems that there are only 2 ancient monsters that are comparable to the 6 bone transitions. Now that one has been killed, there is only one left. When the Lord of the Ruins and the others are over, it is time to deal with that ancient monster. Yi Tian muttered. In other words, the war is almost over. We have to speed up the progress to wipe out the primordial demon abyss. Yi Tian thought to himself. Primordial demon abyss. This day, Yi Tian found a resource that far surpassed the ancient chaotic origin stone, ancient void golden fruit. There is actually an ancient virtual golden fruit in primordial Miyuan. This is a treasure that will greatly help the Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Cave. Yi Tian was surprised. The key is that there are still quite a few ancient virtual golden fruits. This should be the territory of an ancient monster, but that ancient monster is not here now. Collect it. Yi Tian put away all these ancient virtual golden fruits. Then, he continued to look for resources. This day, he found another incomparably precious resource, the ancient magic gold liquid. This immemorial magic gold liquid can also be used to quench boundless bones, allowing boundless bones to complete 3 bone transformations, and may even be effective for 4 bone transformations. There are so many good things. Yi Tian was very excited. Years go by. On this day, Yi Tian once again handed over the resources to the real clone body. In this way, the resources of primordial Miyuan have been scraped again and again. Even though there are still a lot of resources, most of the real good things have fallen into his hands. If other bone transformation realms come in again, they can't find anything good, something. The Infinity Lord, we are going to attack. The Lord of the Void notified Yi Tian. And his 3 vests also received news. This time, all the bone transformation realm in the territorial sea boundary will clean up all those ancient monsters in the bone transformation realm, and then join forces to clean up the massive ancient monsters and restore the peace of the territorial sea boundary seam. Swish. Yi Tian's real body copy body and 3 vests gathered together, and then followed the other bone transformation realm to surround and kill the ancient monsters in the bone transformation realm. The final battle begins. Corpse. Chapter 2539 The Extinction of the Ancient Monsters. Boom. One after another, the ancient monsters in the bone transformation realm were surrounded and killed by Yi Tian and the bone transformation realm ancestors. And the ancient monster whose strength was comparable to the 6 bone transitions was also entangled by the Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Void. When the other bone transfiguration primordial monsters are all killed, the other bone transfiguration will come to help the Lord of the Ruins to surround and kill this primordial monster that is comparable to the 6 bone transfiguration. It can be said that the end of the ancient monsters is coming. At the same time, Yi Tian's immemorial monster copied the body and sent back the last batch of resources, and then self-annihilated. After a while, almost all of the bone transformation realm among the ancient monsters have been killed. These bone transformation realm ancient monsters hardly hide themselves, so they are easy to find and lock. This is also the reason for the defeat of the ancient monsters, because the wisdom is 2-3-4-3, low. This day, a group of bone transformation came to the battlefield of the Lord of Ruins. At this moment, the Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Void are still besieging the ancient monster that is comparable to the 6 bone transformation realm. Don't even think about the connection of the ordinary bone transformation realm in this kind of battle. If you are not careful, you will be killed in seconds. However, some powerful bone transformations still arrange formations, and then the Lord of the Ruins and the Void Master will introduce this ancient monster, and then use the formations and many bone transformations to jointly injure it. Yi Tian is also one of the members who arranged the formation. After a period of time, the array arrangement was completed. The Lord of the Ruins, the Lord of the Void, bring in that ancient monster. After the Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Void got the news, they immediately brought in each other. And this ancient monster has no wisdom, and it is really fooled. When this ancient monster entered the formation was activated. Boom! Many bone transformations mobilized the formation and launched an attack. Moment. The body of this ancient monster was pierced, but the opponent did not die, but desperately smashed the formation, injuring a bone transformation realm. Retreat. A bit of bone change escaped from here. The Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Void continued to attack this ancient monster. The battered primordial monster was no longer able to fight, and it was not the opponent of the Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Void at all, and was quickly killed. At this point, the ancient monsters of bone transformation are almost extinct. In the following years, a bone transformation led a large number of blood transformations to clean up the ancient monsters in the seam of the territorial sea. Gradually, the number of primordial monsters decreased significantly. At this time, the bone transformation realm broke into the primordial demon abyss one by one. They also knew that primordial Muyuan must have a lot of resources, so they broke into primordial Muyuan as soon as possible to find resources. This is their chance. However, there are not many resources in Taigu Muyuan. After the Lord of the Ruins came in, he looked around and found very little. After a period of time, some 9 bone transformations also poured into the primordial demon abyss, looking for resources everywhere. Although Yi Tian has been scraping for a long time, sometimes he still misses it, and the primordial demon abyss will also breed new resources. Therefore, some bone transformation realm and blood transformation realm heavenly ancestors still have some gains. However, the harvest is not as much as they imagined. However, there are still some treasures in primordial Muyuan. If primordial Muyuan is integrated into the seam of the territorial sea, these treasures are also very valuable. Ha ha ha, these bone transformation realm entered the primordial demon abyss. I am afraid that they are very curious, why there are so few resources, so most of them have been scraped by me. Yi Tian said with a smile. Of course, it was impossible for him to reveal it. If those resources are given to the Lord of the Ruins, it is really possible for the Lord of the Ruins to go further. The Lord of the Ruins is now a world-breaking genius with 5 bone transformations. If he goes further, he will be a world-breaking genius with 6 bone transformations, comparable to the normal 7 bone transformations. Unfortunately, these resources were taken by Yi Tian. Therefore, this time, the Lord of the Ruins didn't want to rely on the resources of primordial Muyuan to hit the bone transformation realm 6 times. Yi Tian and the 3 vests are also looking for resources in primordial Muyuan, mainly to pretend. Of course, you can also find some resources. After all, the primordial demon abyss is indeed very large. If you look carefully, you can still find some scattered treasure resources. After a period of time, some bone transformation realm thought that Taigu Muyuan had nothing good, so they left one by one. At this time, Yi Tian also chose to leave. However, primordial Muyuan did not break away from the seam of the territorial sea, but integrated into the seam of the territorial sea little by little, which would make the upgrade of the seam of the territorial sea more secure. Moreover, after killing so many ancient monsters this time, they will also merge into the seam of the territorial sea after their death, turning them into various resources and enhancing the origin of the seam of the territorial sea. This is good for the seams of the territorial sea. It is conceivable that after a long time, the place where these ancient monsters fell may breed a lot of resources. The resources that the countless ancient monsters have nurtured are also a very exaggerated astronomical number. Of course, these resources are only for blood to help Yi Tian. In the future, the 9 blood transitions will appear in large numbers, and the 7 blood transitions will no longer be strong. It is even conceivable that in the years to come, the number of bone transformations will also increase a lot. After 2 primordial era, primordial Muyuan finally completely integrated into the territorial sea boundary and turned into a part of the territorial sea boundary. Moreover, from time to time, there are blood changes that enter the primordial demon abyss to find opportunities. And all this has nothing to do with Yi Tian. A large amount of primordial chaotic origin liquid has been refined, and some primordial chaotic origin liquid has been refined. There are 365 immeasurable bones in the body, almost all 3 bone transitions, and it is only the last point. This last point is the bottleneck, the shackles. It needs to be broken before he can completely step into the 3 bone transitions. If you use countless 5.9 battles to break through, there is no suitable target for the time being, so let's break through with treasures. Yi Tian took out a crimson ball. The ancient blood river beads. This is the supreme treasure, which can help the bone change realm break the shackles, and it is also one of the precious resources he found in the primordial demon abyss. With his current bottleneck, it probably takes a few primordial blood river pearls to forcibly break it. Immediately, he refined this immemorial blood river bead, and then cultivated and tempered that last bit of boundless bone. Boom! The powerful and terrifying energy continuously tempers the last bit of boundless bones, competing with the shackles and bottlenecks in the dark. One is not enough. Yi Tian took out another immemorial blood river pearl. With the help of the ancient blood river beads, the last bit of shackles were finally shattered. Chapter 2540 Breakthrough, 3 Bone Transformation Immemorial Genius. Soon, the last immeasurable completely completed 3 bone transformations. This also means that Yi Tian's entire body has completed 3 bone transformations. At this time, his physical body began to transform, and he was in the process of becoming a 3-time bone transformation realm heavenly ancestor. Boom! Yi Tian's body is constantly transforming, the breath is getting stronger and stronger, and endless energy pours into his body to help him complete the transformation. After many years, Yi Tian's breakthrough was completed. Finally become the 3-bone transformation realm. Yi Tian muttered, with his current strength, he can beat the bone transformation realm 5 times, but it is still not as good as the ordinary 6-bone transformation realm heavenly ancestor, which is not as good as the master of the void and the master of the mixed ruins. However, the bone transformation realm below the level of the Lord of the Ruins and the Lord of the Void, he would not take it seriously. His current strength is much stronger than the master of the void before he did not break through. Certainly, Yi Tian is not yet qualified to be arrogant, at least he can't beat the Lord of Ruins. After breaking through the 3-bone transformation realm, he took a little time to stabilize Realm 29, and then continued to practice. The primordial chaotic origin liquid still has some effects, but the effect is much worse. It takes more primordial chaotic origin liquid to transform an immeasurable bone 4 times. Yi Tian murmured. However, he found a lot of resources in the primordial demon abyss, relying on the primordial chaotic origin liquid and some other resources, he should still be able to raise his cultivation to 4-bone transformation realm, the problem is not big. But if he breaks through to 4 bone transformations in the future, his current resources will be useless and will not help much. Years go by, an ancient era, 2 primordial era, 10 primordial era. Unknowingly, Yi Tian had been cultivating for dozens of primordial era. It was also a very long time for him. The primordial chaotic origin stone has long been exhausted, and other resources have also been consumed a lot. Together with some resources that he usually finds, he has finally raised his cultivation to the extreme of the 3-time bone transformation, and has fallen into a bottleneck state. Just when he was about to attack the bone transformation realm 4 times, a piece of good news came. Yi Xingchen has cultivated to the pinnacle of 9 blood transformations, and is about to complete a bone transformation on the last boundless bone, thus stepping into a bone transformation. Yi Xingchen is an ancient genius. Once he breaks through to the bone transformation realm, he is a primordial genius of the bone transformation realm, and his combat power is comparable to the ordinary 3-bone transformation realm. This will also be the 2nd bone change of humanity. In addition, Yi Xingchen was Yi Tian's son again, so he attached great importance to it and came to guard it in person so that he could break through with confidence. Soon, Yi Xingchen made a successful breakthrough. Boom! The vision of becoming a bone transformation has spread throughout the Wanlong territorial waters. Falcon Dragon City, Longya Tianzu and Hongtong Tianzu sensed the direction of the human race headquarters and saw the huge phantom. The breath covered the entire Wanlong territorial waters. The human race gave birth to an existence that surpassed the 9 blood changes. Longya Tianzu was shocked. It should be the son of the Infinity Lord's breakthrough. Hongtong Tianzu was very envious. Regardless of Yi Xingchen's talent and aptitude today, but now that Yi Xingchen has broken through to the bone transformation realm and has become a primordial genius of the bone transformation realm, this is a monster and must be recognized. This is the advantage of having a backer. If I am also the son of the Infinity Lord, that's fine. Hongtong Tianzu said with emotion. Longya Tianzu on the side was speechless. How old is Hongtong Tianzu? The Infinite Lord is very young. Hongtong Tianzu left Wanlong Territorial Sea for endless years, and the Infinite Lord was born. That's it, how dare Hongtong Tianzu say this? Of course, he also wanted to be Yi Tian's son, but he was too embarrassed to say it. Father, I broke through. Yi Xingqian was very excited. Bone transformation, he didn't expect that he still had hope of breaking through to this realm. Of course, he also knows that it is impossible to achieve the bone transformation realm by himself, and now he has achieved this achievement thanks to his father. Therefore, he admires his father very much. Compared with his father Yi Tian, he is not even 1/10,000th as good. Cultivation well, you have only one bone transformation, your strength is still very weak. Yi Tian said. Yes, father, Yi Xingqian replied. When his son broke through, Yi Tian was also going to attack the bone transformation realm 4 times to see if he could break through. Subsequently, he took out the ancient tile neck. Boom. Shock again and again. However, his bottleneck was too solid. No, it's useless at all. Yi Tian frowned. It stands to reason that the ancient blood river beads are useful to him. Soon, he guessed the reason. He has practiced the top ancient techniques, so it is more difficult to break the shackles. Invincible at the same level, you have to bear such a price. Continuing to use the ancient blood river beads is a waste. Yi Tian muttered. He must find other ways to break through the shackles and become the existence of the 4 bone changes. But, at present, he has not thought of a way. Unexpected. Hey, the Lord of the Ruins wants to do something. Yi Tian said. Mixed Cave. On this day, the Lord of Hongshu summoned the Bone Transformation Realm of Hongshu Cave, and also invited the Bone Transformation Realm ancestors of Qishan and Junlongdongtian to discuss a matter together. The meeting begins. A Bone 343 Transfiguration asked. Master of the Ruins, this meeting only convened us, and did not invite the original native bone transfiguration of the territorial sea and boundary seam. Do you have to do something to them? Naturally not. The Lord of Ruins shook his head. We don't have to deal with them, this time is another matter and needs your help. If it is successful, I will give you some resources. What's the matter? The Lord of Shiwang asked curiously. The Lord of the Ruins didn't hide it anymore, and directly revealed. In the recent dozens of primordial era, there have been many opportunities for sea and boundary seams, and I have obtained a lot of resources. Now I have 364 pieces of immeasurable bones. All 6 bone transformations have been completed, and only the last immeasurable bone is left, and the bone transformation is almost complete. Congratulations to the Lord of the Ruins. Congratulations to the Lord of the Ruins. Congratulations to the Lord of the Ruins. A bone-changed realm congratulated. At the same time, they were also shocked. After all, they didn't expect the Lord of the Ruins to grow so fast, and only 1 point left to break through to the 6 bone transformation realm. Once they have broken through to the 6 bone transformation realm, the strength of the Lord of the Ruins is far beyond them, and they can easily kill a group of them. Certainly, the Lord of the Ruins is on their side, so they are not afraid. Soon, the Lord of the Ruins revealed his plan this time.